Hey, welcome back to the Here's the Deal channel. Here's the deal are the three last words people typically hear before their rights are taken away from them and their freedoms are trampled. Welcome to the new year. We are 12 hours. No, we are 14 hours and 1 minute into 2025. And I hope you get the year that you deserve. The question is, what kind of year are you going to deserve? Will you get the year that you don't deserve? That would be horrible. So I hope you don't get the year you don't deserve and you do get the year you do deserve. And a lot of people take that, a weird way, but it's like you create the goodness that you want to create. You create the compassion and the sound mind and the sanity in your own world. And if it is to be, it's up to thee. So I appreciate you guys being here. Let me know if you got a good sound because I don't want to proceed. Let's see. Let's start with. Can you hear system audio and me? That's the question. We are going to do a live stream today where we get people weighing in on their personal experiences with law enforcement. I want to hone in on the bad experiences, not the good experiences. I want to hone in on the bad experiences. And if you could, keep it brief, keep it informative, keep it truthful. Don't exaggerate. Just tell us exactly what happened. And, hopefully with the audience in mind, you'll keep it interesting as well. If you ramble and all that, I'm going to be watching the chat. And if you guys want the person to move along and let's pick the next person in the queue, we're going to do that without exception because I want to move this along. I want to listen to your experiences, whether we're talking about, long-term or short-term nerve damage by the torture cuffs being put on too tight, or maybe they won't even put on tight at all, but they made you sit on your hands for the last, 2 or 3 hours. There was just recently a news report in the local newspaper in my town where the local sheriff's department, I don't know why they're not using cuffs or they didn't use cuffs in this particular situation, but they used zip ties. They had the zip ties on too tight, kept them on too long, and it resulted in the person who had the zip ties on getting both of his hands amputated, according to reports. That's pretty horrible. That would be the beginnings of a very, very bad year. The only thing is, just a couple days later, he died of sepsis in the local hospital from his injuries inflicted on him by the sheriff's department in my city. So that's bad stuff. I also want to talk about, while we're waiting for phone calls, I want to talk about this last video that was just uploaded by the Siberian tiger. Now, I have no idea how the Siberian tiger gets through the doors of establishments or his house or interior doors with the size of balls that he has. But wait till you see how he confronts these police officers without shame, without backing down, without diluting the message. And he is just full bore going into them. So what I'm going to do is we're also going to be hearing from Craig Hendry from jail. Craig Hendry, as you know, is basically, realistically, a political prisoner in the Vermilion County legal system, the unjust, system. So what I'm going to do is, here is the link. If you want to call in, if you don't have a story, I'm not going to put you on. You got to have a story. You got to have a story. Negative interactions with law enforcement. Let me just type that. Tell your negative law enforcement story. I personally have negative and positive, actually more positive stories with my interactions with law enforcement. And I mean, we'll talk about this as we go along, but just because the majority of my interactions with law enforcement have been positive doesn't mean that I think the cops who I had a positive experience with are good cops. And as we go along, we'll explain that as well. Okay, so we got our first caller here. This is Ryan. Ryan, what's up? You're live.
Hello.
You're live, Ryan. How you doing?
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay. So it's not really a story to do with handcuffs and like damage, but this is like the only time that I've ever had like a confrontation with cops. So it was July 2nd, 2020. Can you still hear me?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. So it's July 2nd, 2020, and I'm like 20 years old, and so I just partied at a friend's house, and everybody was leaving. It's like 12 o'clock, and I decided not to drive, and I'd smoked and drank, and I sat in my car, and I had the I didn't know this at the time, but the law, that the key in the ignition, it counts as driving.
Oh yeah. Where did you say you were parked when you're sitting in your car?
Outside of my friend's house,
Okay.
and there was puke outside of my car, and the cop had lapped a couple times, and I woke up to police lights. I was freaking out. Oh my goodness. And I had no idea what the Fourth Amendment was or anything. And I just basically let the cop like do whatever he wanted to me. Like
Yeah.
basically he got me out of the car. He started asking questions, and the only thing that saved me that night was I didn't do a field sobriety test. That's the only thing that saved me. So he takes me down the station and he gives me a breathalyzer.
Now, did you not take the field sobriety test because you denied it at the time, or he just never offered it?
I had no idea what I was doing. He kept persisting. He was like, "Are you denying taking this field sobriety test?" And I just didn't respond. That's the only thing that I knew. I just knew not to talk to cops. But I told him that I had smoked and I drank, and I think that was enough for him. And so, I learned a lot from that. But he takes me down the station. I'm praying. I'm like, Lord, please have this be a 000, please. It turns out I asked him like right before the results. I said, "So if I blow a 00, what does that mean for me?" And he looks me in the eyes and he just goes, We'll see when that happens." And so I'm like,
If
"What
he
the?"
was honest, he'd be like, "Well, if it's 000, you're free. You're free and clear."
I don't know. I guess like I guess you're not allowed to like sit in your car high or something. I don't know. So they make me do a piss test. And as I'm handcuffed, the craziest thing, this was the other thing that saved me. They lost the drug test results because they took my wallet, they grabbed my ID, and in place was a fake ID. So I was 3 years older, and so they put it in front of me, and I had to sign my social security number like to the drug test, and they eventually, because it was like a false ID, they eventually like they didn't know like what happened to it. So I eventually like
Oh, so the name and the information that they put on the drug test when they sent it away and got it back it was your false name?
it was my real name,
Okay,
but I think like the birthdays like they didn't match up, and so
gotcha.
it just got lost in the nether.
Right.
And I remember the craziest thing. The other cop, the one that didn't arrest me when I was at the hospital, he was like, "You know what, man? You've been so chill. I don't do this for people, but I'm gonna take your handcuffs off." I was like, "Are you serious?" so so he takes my handcuffs off, and he's basically like, I think that one dude that might be the only good cop that I've ever came across, to be honest. Um, but what I learned during the field sobriety test and like him persisting, I remember when he arrested me, I said, this could fuck up my life. And I looked him right in the eyes. I said, this could fuck up my life, this DUI. And he looked at me and he just said, "It's just a misdemeanor. It's just a misdemeanor." I'm like, "Are you serious?" That's when I knew that they don't care about me.
And what
And
what police station, what police force was this?
TKK, TKK police,
And what state is that?
South Carolina,
And you said it happened in 2002?
2020.
2020. Okay, so you're sitting in your car on your friend's property, and I'm assuming in the driveway?
Yeah, no,
And
actually
there's
not even. So so my friend's house is weird. He lives behind another house. And the craziest thing was when the cops were questioning me, I told him, I was like, "Dude, like I'm sitting outside of my friend's house." And he looks around and he goes, "There's no houses." I'm like, "It's right behind the house." He goes, "Okay, buddy. okay, yeah, for sure. Your friend's house is behind the house. I'm like, dude, it is. I had to get my friend to like write down his address and like use that as like evidence or something. But like, there was so much.
What initially brought the cops to where you were? Did somebody call
There,
them?
no, I think they like to patrol. You know, they just like to cruise around, and I think it was like 12 o'clock at night, something like that, and there was puke outside of my car. You
Mhm.
know, that was a dead giveaway. But the cop, like, he just kept berating me. He kept like, he kept saying like, so you're not gonna you're denying the field sobriety test, and I just said I'm not denying anything. That's all I said. I said I'm not denying anything, and that wasn't good enough. And that was the first time I ever had handcuffs put on me, and I thought my life was over. I
And
was
you
like,
and you were how old at that time?
I was 20.
Right.
Actually, no, I was 19. I was 19.
Yeah, they don't realize whether it's a misdemeanor or a felony, that record of DUI on your chart, on your record is going to mess your life up. It's going to mess
It
up
it
job
got it
opportunities.
got dropped 2.5 years later.
And is it completely, have you looked up your record? Is it completely off your record?
That was another thing. Just last year, I went to go apply for another insurance, and they had brought up the DUI, and I was like, what is going on? They didn't clear it. They didn't expunge it, and so I had to fight again for them to finally get rid of it.
When you say fight again, did you have to hire legal counsel to get it off?
No, I had to just talk with my attorney, and thankfully they didn't bill me nothing, but they had sent me confirmation that was completely expunged.
And you double checked it yourself?
Yeah, and
See,
what's scary too is so I was applying for a private pilot license, right? And they ask you, have you ever been charged? They say charged with a DUI, and I didn't want to mention it. So but they also say like you can be fined up to $250,000 if you're caught lying. So I'm like, do I mention it and then I get denied, or do I not you know what I'm saying?
charged by the FAA?
No,
Who charges that amount of money?
I guess it would be like some like Department of Traffic or like transportation or something, right? Would it be the DOT?
I think it would be the FAA. They govern basically all flights, private instrument pilot,
But isn't
commercial
somebody
pilots.
above them?
I honestly don't know how that works, but that's another. See, this is why I wanted to do this, because when cops mess with you, whether people think it's a misdemeanor or a felony, and you get a charge on your record, it can negatively impact you in so many ways we can't even recount them in this live stream. So what ended up happening? Did you spend any time in jail, or did they release you that night?
Yeah, I probably spent like a good. I got arrested. Let's see. I probably got put in at like 1. I got released at like 11. So I was in the drunk tank for like 10 hours.
Did they put you in with general? Like, were there other people in your cell too?
Yeah. There was probably a good 8 people.
And
Eight
did anybody
people with
try to
me.
mess with you?
No, no. Thankfully, I just didn't make eye contact. Honestly, I just kept to
Yeah,
myself. I didn't even eat the
yeah,
food. To be honest, the food was freaking trash.
yeah.
It
Yeah,
was horrible.
eating the food or drinking the water or whatever liquids they give you is a pretty dangerous
I heard
gambling
it's actual
proposition.
poison
It
sometimes.
can, I would not doubt that. I would not doubt that at all. Man, what's your first name?
Ryan.
Ryan?
Yeah.
Ryan, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you calling in. I'm glad it worked out for you, and I really do hope that's expunged off your record, because that's not a good thing for anybody to have on
Yeah.
their record.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Hey, appreciate it, man. Thank you very
Appreciate it.
much. Yeah, Sylvia says retaliation is so real that we're scared to expose these crooks, and a lot of times that's true. Good citizen, you're next in the queue. You're live. How's it going?
Hey, Brian, how are you?
Good. Tell us about your
Uh,
experience.
yeah, so about 5 years ago, I had gotten out of jail and I was in front of a church, and it was like 11 o'clock at night, and I just wanted to pray. I had lost a friend a couple years before, and I saw a cop, going up the wrong way on a one way, and I told him to learn how to drive. And he turned around, he pulled his car up, and there was an old lady parked in front of the church for what I don't know at that time at night. And he threw the lights on, scared her so bad that she flew off that street, went through a major intersection, almost got hit. She's sitting on the opposite side of the street in her car crying. You'd think he'd want to make sure that she was okay. He didn't. He just stood there and hassled me. And he tried to tell me I needed to move, that I needed to give ID. He told me I was going to be going to jail. He screamed at me. And I pulled out my phone and filmed him.
Damn you, Josh. Damn you, Josh.
What had happened?
Happy New Year, man.
Happy New Year. I just wanted to sneak my way in here and say hi.
Happy New Year and congratulations to the new addition to your family, by the way.
Thank you. And, congratulations on your end too. I know you got a lot of fun stuff happening.
Hey, man, can you tell us a personal experience that maybe the rest of us don't know about that you had to go through that you haven't publicized on your site?
You know what? Yeah. So when I came out of jail, and this was while I had my channel, I maybe had like 80,000 subscribers. I came out, the probation officer was real nice. And then she found out who I was, and I was doing urine screens, right? So all of a sudden I go in, and the guy, this is all filmed. The guy takes the sticker with my name on it, off the urine cup, puts it on another one. And I was like, yeah, no, we're not doing that. So I filmed the whole thing. I left. I went to the probation office and I asked them to give me a drug test there. They gave me a drug test. I took it. It was a rapid test. I passed. Then they called me in a couple days later to take another one. I did. And then one the very next day I did. So 4 tests in a week. And then this lady, she knows who I am because our relationship has soured once she confronts me on what I do for a living. She tells me that the test I went in and took that day, I failed it. And I popped for codeine, right? And I said, I don't take codeine. Like, what am I going to take codeine for? So I went and got a hair sample, a hair follicle test taken that dates back 90 days. This is about 2 weeks after this supposed failed drug test. Turns out that the hair follicle test says that I'm clean from any and all substances for up to 90 days. So there's no way possible this could have been in my system, right? You think that's when they would have dropped it. This lady had it out for me so bad and had the tunnel vision on so bad that she continued forward with it. As shitty karma would have it, I went to California to go see
what? I mean, what was she basing this on, the furtherance of this charge against you?
Because the tests that I had done at the facility had popped, right? And meanwhile, the company that does this, Aver Health, just got hit with a $30 million lawsuit in Massachusetts alone. And their chief science officer said that up to 50% of their tests in the state of Massachusetts are false positives anyways. I had that test that I took lab tested. We had it sent out on our own. That lab confirmed that there was no trace of anything. So it wasn't even a false positive, but they kept going with it. I would go to California. That'd make me drive 5 hours when I was visiting Anna to go to one of their locations up there to take drug tests. It comes down to the point where maybe it's karma. This probation officer's husband winds up having a heart attack. I get assigned a new probation officer. And the only thing he says to me is, I don't want to be part of any lawsuit. I'm not going to be involved in any of the shit that's going on. And then, so just, I'll get back to you in a week. He got back to me a week later, brought me into court. That was thrown out. The drug test was thrown out and my probation was terminated 1.5 years early. And I don't know if I've told that story.
And if you look up your record, that episode is completely off your record.
Yeah. So when you look it up, you'll see a violation of probation. What they do is that it's called a surrender hearing, and it's kind of like a show cause hearing where they go in and the probation says this is what we have, and then we say this is what we have. But the interesting thing is, I would have to apply for travel, right? So since I have now violated the terms of my probation by using a substance, or at least I'm awaiting that charge, no innocence, beforehand. You're presumed guilty at the onset. I would have to ask. So every time I'd have to go in front of a judge, probation gets to speak first and they say, yeah, well, we don't think you should travel. He just popped for codeine. And, and the judge would be like, and you think you're going to ask us if you can go to another state and travel to go film police? You're popping for codeine. And I would have to argue with them and eventually just cut the judge off and be like, I've taken 8 other tests since then. even that test was double checked, and it was confirmed that, that it wasn't even a false positive. The test was clean. And then the judge said, is this accurate? And she said, well, yeah, but mistakes happen all the time. So we're moving forward with the violation. And the judge told her that if something smelled fishy, and if they found out that something was untoward, then she would be the person standing in the defendant's position. I don't even know if she still works for the place, but the new probation officer came in, but they screwed up my travel. I had to seek permission to leave the state, and I still did it. On top of all that stuff, while it was going on, I was traveling the country still filming cops.
Yeah, that's a good example of how they can really muddy the waters and mess somebody's life up for something that doesn't seem like it would have implicated you, especially when the second result came back that, in 90 days, you have nothing in your system. So let me ask you, based on your experiences and based on what you now know as with the knowledge that you've accumulated over the last decade or so, what advice would you give to somebody, not legal advice, of course, but what advice would you give to people who haven't yet had that encounter with a law enforcement agent, whether they think the agent is good or not?
Don't. It's a policy of the United States to never negotiate with terrorists, right? Their job is to get you in. It's like, when you get into a store, they give you samples of makeup or they give you samples of cologne. That's so when you smell it, you say, oh, that's nice. Oh, there's a discount. Let me come in. And now they got you in the store. They're amping the oxygen up. They're lowering the lighting. They're making everything look really nice. So that way they can keep you in there. And that's the same thing with the criminal justice systems. The cop is really just the hostess for the criminal justice restaurant. Their job's to get you in the door, to take your reservation, and make sure that you spend as much money as humanly possible. And they work on people's fear, Brian, right? So listen, I will help you out. Just be honest with me. I will work with you. It's things to try and coerce you to say, you know what? Maybe I won't fight this. I don't want to lose my job. I don't want this. They're never there to help you, right? Like you never see a quarterback tell a linebacker on the opposing team what play they're about to run because it never works out for you. So, even if you're scared, I say take the ride because at the end of the day, you fight it in court. You might not beat the ride, but you have a much better chance beating the rap if you keep your mouth shut, you don't talk to him, and you keep yourself out of the system.
Good advice, Josh. I appreciate you weighing in, man. Thanks very much.
I just wanted to call with my story. Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Keep those prayers coming too.
That's a true story, man. That was my first audit.
Awesome, man. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Hey, just so you know, exclusive here. Dr. Phil scrubbed the episode. Not
really? Really?
They got back to us. They gave us a long comment saying that people were not properly vetted. And it didn't fall in line with the show, blah, blah, blah. Long story short, they scrubbed about $100,000. It cost them to wipe that episode, to pay for the audience, to provide catering, hair and makeup for them all. Like the entire thing. And that's only one of 2 episodes that Dr. Phil's chosen never to air. So the First Amendment community, we got Dr. Phil.
I wish we could get that raw footage, man. Wouldn't that be so great to air that?
That'd be fantastic. It's never going to happen. They're never going to release it.
All right, man. I appreciate you.
Have a good show. Happy New Year, Brian.
Hey,
Bye.
Happy New Year to you. Take care. DJ, you are next. You're live, DJ. DJ, your mic is muted. Oh, I'm sorry. Not DJ. Sorry. Wait. I got to remove Greg. I got to go to DJ. You're next in the queue, DJ. Sorry about that.
There we go. That's okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
You're on.
Hey, listen, I just wanted to call in. I'm 54 years old. I got involved with auditing before auditing was considered something cool, long before we had the technology that we have today with everybody having cameras. I am a OG at this. I have been done dirty as a kid in the 80s in South Florida. I was no angel as a kid. I lived in Palm Beach County, Florida. I had a ton of problems with cops when I was a kid. My crime was riding a dirt bike down the street, seeing a cop, flipping them off, and having them chase me. That was the highlight of my life. I didn't hurt anybody. I didn't, it was a victimless crime.
You hurt somebody. You hurt a cop's fragile feelings. That's what you
absolutely
hurt, right?
Absolutely. Well, anyways, that was back in the 80s. And back in 1990, I sued the police department at that time. The name of the department at that time was called Lake Worth, Florida. Lake Worth, Florida is now called Lake Worth Beach, Florida. And they've been taken over by the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office, and the Lake Worth Police Department is defunct. Well, I sued them back in 1990. I was at a friend's house. We were waiting for him to cook some barbecue ribs. I was in the hood. I grew up in the hood. I'm a white guy. I'm in with black guys. I'm still friends with a ton of them to this day. I don't see color. I could care less what color you are. When I was sitting on the sidewalk, again, I just turned 18 years old. I'm waiting for the ribs to cook. This cop comes riding up, and he comes over and he says, "What are you doing in this neighborhood?" So, "What do you mean, what am I doing in this neighborhood? I live here." He says, "Where do you live?" And I told him the street, and he said, "Well, that's a long ways from here now, isn't it?" I said, "No." He says, "You need to get on your bicycle and get out of here." I said, "Why? Who am I hurting?" He says, "If you haven't looked, you're the wrong color." I can't believe this guy's saying this. So I get on my bike rather than fight this guy. Again, I'm just a kid. I ride away on my bicycle. He leaves. I turn around. I go right back and I sit back in the chair because I want the ribs. So as I'm sitting on the sidewalk, cop comes flying back around the corner, locks his car up sideways. He jumps out of the car, slams the door, comes over, and he says, "I warned you, didn't I?" He says, "Now you're going to jail." He grabs me by the hair. Of course, I had long hair back then, and he slams my head into the trunk of the car, puts the cuffs on me so tight that I couldn't feel my hands, threw me in the back of the police car, and carried me to jail. I went to the local jail. Then they transported me to the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office. I'd never been to jail before. And I'm in jail. I'm in there for approximately 16, 17 hours. They let me go on my own recognizance. I leave. Well, long story short, I went to the owner of the property where my friend lived, and I said, "Have you ever had any problems with me sitting on or being on your property that you wouldn't want me there?" He said, "No, why?" And I told him what happened, and he said, "Well, that's pretty rotten that they did that to you." I said, "Yeah, I know." So I said, "What I'd like to get from you is just an affidavit swearing that I have never been a problem and you didn't ask to have me trespass from the property." He said, "I'll do that." I got it signed. I got it notarized, went to court. They dropped the case against me. And then once they dropped the case against me, I went back and I sued them. I got paid a handsome amount of money. And the attorney, right before he handed me my check, he said, "I'm going to give you the most valuable advice I can give you as an attorney." I said, "Yeah, what's that?" He said, "Take this check and get out of here." I said, "Where am I going to go?" He says, "Anywhere where they don't know who you are." He says, "Because as soon as you get back into the city that you just sued, they're going to have it out for you and you're never going to have peace." I said, "Advice well taken." I moved. I never had another problem. We moved to South Carolina. I never had any more problems out of police. It's like the lights, like the light switch was turned off and no more problem out of cops. Well, I have a problem with Palm Beach County today because of what they did to me as a kid. My nephew, who is the one that had the channel called Palm Beach Free Press, who's also Acura Amanda's boyfriend, is my nephew. The stuff that is done to him infuriates me deeply because I know how corrupt that county is. And when they arrested that kid, he was doing nothing whatsoever illegal. I watched the video. He was standing on the public sidewalk. There was approximately 6 to 8 cops there, including a lieutenant, all for a kid that chirped his tires in a private parking lot. And they're interrogating this kid like he just shot somebody. So when they arrested him, they didn't arrest him immediately. He was video recording on the public sidewalk. The police officer told him to stand back, very hateful like, and my nephew said, "What's your name and badge number since you went hands-on with me?" Because he pushed him back onto the sidewalk. So the whole thing got dissolved. It was nothing but a thing where the cop put his hands on him. And so my nephew just kind of walked away from it. He went back the next day to the sheriff's office. He filed a complaint against the officer, that the lieutenant that put his hands on him. And do you know, with not 10 minutes later, they put a warrant out for him and charged him with not interference, but it was I'm sorry. I'm trying to remember. It wasn't obstruction. It was resisting without violence. That's the only charge that they charged this kid with. He's never even had a parking ticket. Nothing. Completely clean record.
Which is a secondary charge. There has to be a primary charge before there can be a resisting charge.
Well, that's the way it's supposed to work, but it didn't work that way in his case. He took this thing to court. He represented himself pro se. While he was representing himself in the court, the first jury that he had come up as a hung jury. The state went back through and had such a how can I say this nicely? They had such an out for him that the judge in open court said that they're going to make an example out of him.
Wow.
All right. There's no primary charge. You're right. It is a secondary charge. I have several friends of mine that are Palm Beach County Sheriff's deputies that I grew up with down there that they're about to retire now.
And just for people who don't understand what this actually means, a secondary resisting arrest has to be a secondary offense because there has to be a primary probable cause action that caused the cop to want to arrest you in the first place. If there is no primary cause, you can't have the secondary charge of resisting arrest or obstructing justice or whatever.
Correct. So when he went to court, they brought it back a second time. Now he's had a hung jury. Imagine all the expense that the taxpayers have already had to pay over such a ridiculous, ludicrous charge.
By the way, is this are these videos up on Acura Amanda's channel?
I don't know if they're on Acura Amanda's, but I know that they're on Palm Beach Free Presses.
Okay,
and
go ahead.
They come back to me a lot and ask for my advice because she knows how much my deep hatred towards that county is, because I know how corrupt they are. The sheriff of Palm Beach County is Rick Bradshaw, and he's on his last legs health-wise, so he's not going to be a tyrant much longer. But these people are scum that have been in office for decades, and their career sheriff of the county. And the corruption goes so deep in that county, it's pathetic. Do
you happen to have the name of the video? I've got Palm Beach Free Press up on my screen. Do you know what the name of the video is?
I don't know, but I know it's within the last 2 videos that he posted, maybe 3.
He hasn't posted a video in a year. Is it the car show catastrophe?
Yes, because he has been fighting this whole time. Okay. Right. He's had to remain silent because the system's shut him down if he goes out there. So anyways, he goes to court. They find him not guilty. They find him as a hung jury. The courts come back and they do it a second time.
And when there's a hung jury, the case is supposed to be dismissed and thrown out.
Well, that didn't happen. Again, the judge said in open court, she's going to make an example out of him. So they bring it back to court a second time. My nephew hires an attorney. The attorney is hired. The attorney is representing him. The attorney didn't do a half of the job that my nephew did pro se. So the jury found him guilty. Okay? Not for any other reason other than resisting without violence. They give the poor kid 30 days in the county jail. All right? I tell him, appeal it. He appeals it. It goes to, I believe it's the 9th Circuit. 9th Circuit took forever for it to come back with the appeal. And believe it or not, the kid lost the appeal. No reason why, just that he lost the appeal. I said, how can you appeal something, lose it, and not be given a reason for it? That's not a cheap thing to do. And what is the charge that the kid is charged with? It's so elementary and minor, and now he's going to have to go back and sit in jail in order to complete the sentence for something so ludicrous as resisting without violence? What kind of a Mickey Mouse world do we really live in?
Yeah, it's infuriating. And that's why we have these channels, because people need to understand, they need to realize what's going on. And I venture to say that most Americans don't understand what's going on. And even when they do, they lack the ability to empathize and sympathize with the person that's getting the tyranny coming down upon their heads, not realizing that one day it could be you. We all got to stand against this.
Exactly. And it's called back the blue till it happens to you. That is such a true statement. That's
Truly
why I
is.
follow all these auditors. So I'm going to give you one more example and then I'll let someone else come in. I'm sorry to take up all the time.
No problem. Before I forget, before you finish, when we get done with this call, can you email me, contact@highimpactflix.com, and send me a link to that? Because I want to cover it. I'm not as familiar with that as I'd like to be. Are you there? Can you hear me?
You there? I'm sorry. My phone completely cut out. What did you say?
When we get done, finish with what you were saying, but before you do, try to contact me at contact@highimpactflix.com, which is my email address, and send me a link to the video that you're talking about so I can cover it.
All right. You have a pen and paper there, right?
Yes.
Because I don't have one here with me. If you'll just send me an email, I'll be glad to send you a link to the video.
All right, just put it in the chat if you don't want anybody to know your email address, because we are live right now.
I don't care. It's no big deal.
Okay, what is it?
It's not an email I use anyways. It's kingtut210@yahoo.com.
Okay.
All right. So
is that TUTT or TUT?
TUT. And then the number's 210.
Say it again. The numbers are what?
It's KINGTUT210@yahoo.com.
Okay. Go ahead with what you're saying.
So what this all boils down to, all of it, is money. How much money can we extort from the citizen? You're already paying taxes to be in a court. The judge is being paid by your tax dollars. The prosecutor's being paid by your tax dollars. The police officer that's pointing the finger at you. If you have probation cost, then if the probation officer wants to throw a random drug test at you, you have to pay to prove that you haven't done drugs. Again, guilty till proven innocent. It's all a money grab. And I learned this the hard way. I moved from Florida to Tennessee, which is where I live now. The tyrannical here is nowhere near the level it is in Florida, not even remotely close. So since I've lived in Tennessee, I have not had any problems other than one encounter with a trooper. The story was covered on Acura Amanda's channel. The trooper was headed in the opposite direction down the interstate. There's 3 other cars around me, and I promised to God I was not speeding. But it doesn't matter. The cop turned around, spun around. My radar detector is a Uniden. It's an R8. It picks up cops so far away they don't stand a chance of being able to actually hit you with radar. LiDAR is a whole different ballgame. When I heard my radar detector going off, I purposely slowed down. He was going the opposite direction. He spins around, comes back, pulls me over, and comes up to the car, and the first words out of his mouth is, any reason for your speed today? I clocked you doing 87 and a 70. And I said, I don't answer questions. And he said, well, where are you headed today? I said, why don't you ask me another question and I'll give you the same answer. I don't answer the question. So anyways, the cop says, okay. So he takes my information. He goes back to his police car. And in the video that I went in and did a FOIA request on, you have to be, and this is another thing with the state of Tennessee, really makes me angered. In order to get a public information request, you have to be a citizen of the state of Tennessee in order to receive or request that public information. So all this does is breed retaliation against you, because in order to get my public information request, I have to give them proof as to who I am, which has, not for me, but your average person, it would have their address on it. It would have your name, your date of birth, retaliation. Here I am.
Yeah.
So I requested it. I sent them the copy of my license, and they came back. They said, oh, well, okay, here's your video. They gave me the dash cam footage from the cop's dash cam, and they gave me his body cam footage. And on the video, from his body cam, excuse me, you can see that the speed on his radar says 85 miles an hour, not 87 as he wrote the ticket for. So when we went to court, I asked, why is it that you can increase or pad the amount of money, the amount of speed that I was doing? I understand if you take it off, but I've never heard of a case where they've added to it. And he says, well, that's neither here nor there. That's just the point at which I'm sorry. That's just the point at which he reached up and froze the screen. Well, in the video, it doesn't show him freezing any screen. It shows 85 miles an hour. So when I questioned that, they said, well, like I said, it's neither here nor there. Basically,
Yeah,
what they did.
it's easy to say when you're not the one getting extorted, right?
Exactly. And they turned around and they said, well, I'm just going to order this to be dismissed, but you're going to pay $225.50 in court cost.
Yeah.
All right. So I had to donate $225.50 to my government, who I'm already paying for all these fools to be in this courthouse. They're all pointing a finger at me saying that I did something wrong. And I point out the obvious, that it's been padded on the video. And then the other thing that they love to do is tell you, well, we can't admit your video. Well, why not? From like a dash cam showing your speed and your longitude and latitude from the GPS. Well, we can't accept that as evidence. Why? Well, because videos can be edited. Well, wait a minute. If that's the story and you can't accept my video dash cam as evidence in this case, then your video can be edited too. So why is yours different from mine? And again, it's always do as we say, not as we do. And yes, I was extorted for $200.
So wait, you were extorted for $200 and you did have the dash cam video evidence with the nav connected to that, as in how fast you were actually going at that time?
I absolutely positively did, and they would not accept it as evidence in my case.
Wow. That is corruption from top to bottom right there.
And that's, by the way, that's Coffee County, Tennessee, in case anybody wants to know. It's right in between Chattanooga and Nashville.
Right. I used to live in Murfreesboro. I went to school at MTSU. I actually know that there's a lot of corrupt cops in
it's
Tennessee.
bad.
Well, brother, hey, I appreciate it. I've got a lot of people in the queue, but I appreciate you telling us your story, and I will email you so I can get that link from you from Acura.
I'll definitely share it. Thank you so much, Brian. Y'all have a good day.
Take care. Greg, Live Music, what's up, man? You're on.
Hey, Brian, how you guys doing?
Good.
Yeah, so I had several instances. You know, the average person isn't just wrongfully arrested even once. I know it happens to millions of us, but 3 separate times that I was assaulted and wrongly arrested for literally doing nothing. Let me start by showing you my shirt. So homemade. I was somewhat inspired by you. I've been making shirts before.
Nice.
I had worn your back in the day. The CV19 just tested positive for fraud shirt.
Yeah.
And man, I cannot tell you how many positive experiences. There was one time, and I don't mean to go off, but I really want to tell you this. So I was going to this small little town in Michigan with my parents and sisters. And the year that you put that out, I was wearing it, and my little sister was afraid that I was going to get beaten up for wearing it or something. And we get to that small town, and on the way there on the plane, and then when we're there, I counted maybe 12 positive comments, people coming up and saying stuff. So the complete antithesis of what she was expecting, and it started a lot of conversations. I think it helped open my family's eyes to it when they're seeing all these strangers agreeing, including a nurse. So I love shirts, so I made this one to start some conversations.
Love it.
Anyway,
Love it. Hey, can you make sure your mic is plugged in? Because it sounds like your mic is not working. The mic you got hanging off your ear doesn't seem to be working too well.
You might just have to let me go then. Let me see if I can. Is that any different?
Oh yeah, that's better. That's better.
Probably not. Okay, good.
No, it's better. That is better.
Usually I'm at home doing this. Excuse me, since I'm out and about. I hope you can hear me all right.
It was better, but go
So
ahead.
the first time was February the 13th. Okay. Let's try this. I'll touch my camera. Any better at all?
No. Do you want to? Do you want to try to call back, Greg? Because I'd like to hear what you have to say.
Okay.
Yeah, just try to call
Just the
back
same
and then
thing,
hop
log
back
right
in the
back
queue.
in.
Yeah, go ahead and just call back.
Okay. All right, man.
All right.
Thanks.
All right, man. All right, Lazarus, you're up, man. You're muted. You are muted. We can't hear you.
Hey, how's it
There you
going,
go.
man?
There you go. Good. How you doing?
Good. I'm very well. Happy New Year.
You too.
Thank you. So, a couple of things. First of all, the worst thing that I've ever been through as far as law enforcement and courts is easily extradition. I got extradited from Colorado to Illinois for a charge that ultimately I would have gotten cleared of had I not left unexpectedly. And so it
What
was
was the
literal.
what was the actual charge?
It was a DUI that I was innocent of. I had just had surgery, so I couldn't do their little clown show,
Right.
and so I wouldn't walk. And they found a bottle of prescription meds that wasn't even narcotic, and so they charged me with that. Blah blah blah. I kind of panicked one day, and I left for Colorado, and so they extradited me with literal murderers in the back of a like a panel van, basically chained to the metal seats the entire time for days on end, not stopping, but one time a day to go to the bathroom. And if
Wait,
we
wait a
had,
sec. Wait a second. What state is this? Colorado?
it was from Colorado to Illinois.
Okay, so you're in a van
Yeah,
chained to some kind of bar inside the van?
yeah, we were chained to the seat, and to each other.
And you said for days on end?
Days on end. It took 6 days. You know why it took 6 days too? This is the most messed up part about it. They did a tour of the southern United States and they backtracked because they would get calls that they had to pick somebody else up. They were picking up 80-year-old people. And here's something crazy. If we got too loud during the night, they would literally stomp on the brakes and we would all go forward.
And nobody's seat belted in those vans, right?
No, there are no seatbelts. We are chained to each other. Yeah, I mean that was the extent of the protection.
Now this is a story that you do not hear very often. As a matter of fact, these extradition stories, I've only heard maybe a handful, maybe
Yeah,
4 or 5. But okay, so you got charged in Colorado for a DUI you did not commit.
I got charged in Illinois for a DUI I did not commit. I ran to Colorado. I went to Colorado to start a better life, basically,
Right.
because I was
Okay.
sick of being persecuted.
So during the DUI stop, they wanted you to do the field sobriety test. You wouldn't play along with that. And then
Yeah.
what did the Illinois cop do?
They arrested me. They charged me with DUI, and it was in Will County, and they're just notoriously bad. You can look up the judge. Actually, I don't remember her name, but yeah, it was just ridiculous. It was ridiculous. That's
So
not the first.
did you go to jail that night?
Yeah, yeah.
And how
I
long
went
were you
to
in
jail.
jail in Illinois?
I was in jail until my first hearing. That was probably a week.
And then did you make your first hearing?
Yeah, I got out.
And then after your first hearing, that's when you drove to Colorado?
It was a while in between then, so it was probably a few months. One of my friends had moved to Colorado, so I decided to go with him.
So then what happened in Colorado? How did the Colorado cops pick you up so you could be extradited?
Oh, they literally just they pulled us over one day, and they ran our IDs. I didn't even realize at that time that being the passenger, I didn't have to give an ID,
Right.
but I gave my ID, and they saw that I was wanted in Illinois, and they picked me up.
And when they picked you up in Colorado, how long had it been since you got stopped for that DUI stop in Illinois?
Years.
Years.
Yeah,
So you had no idea that there was a warrant out for your arrest from the state of Illinois.
I knew.
Oh, you knew. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
So you knew you knew you were basically playing with fire, and if you had ever gotten pulled over, you're going to get caught.
Yeah, I was gambling, and I can be blamed for that, but I really didn't expect them to extradite me and spend the money for that. And I just didn't expect that because it costs more to get me there, to pay the service, which, by the way, it's a private corporation that does this. It's not anybody that works for the government. They threatened to shoot us. Like, it's insane. It's just insane.
This sounds like a movie script for a movie that a lot of people would go to watch. You're how many? Tell me exactly how many days from the time they extradited you from Colorado to make this trip across the country. How long were you in that van?
I think it was 6.
And how many people had they picked up? You said this is a nondescript windowless passenger van, or what?
Yeah. Oh, man. And that's the crazy thing. We would just drive from small town to small town, picking up people, dropping them off in another town halfway across the state, picking somebody up there. It was like just running back and forth across the southern United States. We stopped once overnight at a jail somewhere and got to sleep. But it was traumatizing.
In the course
It
of
was
this
the most
6 days,
traumatizing thing I've ever experienced.
in the course of this 6-day journey across the country, did they give you food and water?
Yeah, it was funny. That was the only small blessing. They bought us fast food every night, every day.
So you just ate once a day, but the rest
No,
of your
I'm
time, oh, go ahead.
3 times.
Oh, 3 times
Sorry.
a day. So 3
Mhm.
times a day, they're giving you food and water, but you were held hostage in a windowless van, handcuffed to some railing inside. And if the passengers of that van got too loud, they would slam on the brakes and everybody would just jerk forward.
Yep, one of the gentlemen I was in there with, who was there for child support, he broke his arm.
And then what did they do with that guy with the broken arm? Did they take him to the hospital?
No, they bandaged it up at the jail when we finally got there, and put a little splint on it, and they denied that they did it, of course.
Lazarus, this is so fascinating to me. I'm just in disbelief. I mean, like, we know this kind of stuff happens. We know there are people locked into cells and forgotten about, and they turn the air conditioner up and they don't give you a blanket. But this is a whole new level of you're basically kidnapped victims of the state, ambling down the roadway by some nondescript private corporation in a windowless van, handcuffed to a bunch of other people who probably committed victimless crimes, all to take you to a certain destination as they're abusing you along the way. Did I get that accurate?
Well, when you put it like that, Brian, yeah, that's awful.
You,
That's what exactly
okay. Do you have a YouTube channel?
I do.
Okay. Have you put this on your YouTube channel?
I have not.
You've got to create an accurate, interesting, succinct script, and you've got to put this out on YouTube. I will help promote it. Who's the little
Okay.
girl in the background? Hi.
They had it.
And that's so. Did you have a family at this time? What year is this? What year is this?
This was quite a few years ago. This is about 4 years before she was born.
Did you have a family? Did you have a wife at that time?
I did not. I had nothing to do but get in trouble, and I succeeded.
Okay, so a lot of people would have this question going back to Illinois. Okay, so what was the reason for the pullover if you indeed weren't drunk or you weren't driving under the influence? What was the deal?
Well, I had a boot on my right foot. I had, like a surgical boot,
Okay.
and I could not drive very well. And then this is kind of before I was using GPS on the daily basis. And so I did a U-turn probably where I shouldn't have. But it was a country road in Illinois in like Plainfield or something, which lives up to its name. And it just he whooped behind me, and it was off to the races.
The Plainfield, Illinois police, I'm assuming?
I think it was Plainfield. It was somewhere out in the country either way.
And why did he tell you that he suspected you of driving under the influence?
He didn't at first. He suspected me of just doing an illegal U-turn. You know how they do it. They just escalate. And I shake when I'm around cops because that's not the first like traumatizing experience by any stretch of the imagination I've had with them.
Yeah.
And so I vibrate, and that always leads to me getting pulled out. I've got a video on my channel of getting pulled out for the same thing with my kids in the back seat of my car. Just trying to get them to school. I got pulled over for seatbelt, and he pulled me out because I was vibrating from trauma, and tried to tell me that
You
I
mean
was,
like shaking? You were
yeah,
shaking?
just like,
Okay.
full.
Yeah.
And my face shakes. I try to stay. Hey, go out there. Okay.
Which is a normal response of a victim who's been victimized by badged abusers, even though they want you to
Yeah.
think, hey, you know, there's somehow you're abnormal for shaking around the police.
Yeah.
So you weren't under the influence. He got you for
No.
a U-turn. He embarked upon his fishing expedition, said, I smell alcohol in your breath, or however it went. You
He
denied the
found my prescription bottle. And you know
painkillers
what it
for the
was?
foot.
It was trazodone, which is a very early antidepressant, which is no longer used for that. It's used for sleep, and it's used specifically in drug treatment because it's non-narcotic and non-addictive. So, I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's
And
ridiculous.
did he find it against your consent, or did you let him search your car, or what? How
I
did that
never
go down?
let even then I never let people search my car. They just in Illinois, at least at that time, they just kind of do or did.
Yeah.
They would just do it, you know.
What year are we talking about here?
I don't really remember that well. It's probably around 2009.
Okay, I would like to see if you produce a video highlighting this thing. That would be so fascinating to me, and I think a lot of people want to hear it. Did you
Okay.
get the name of the private company that was actually carting the hardened criminals across the state or across the country?
Yeah, I did, but it was just some sketchy name like I'm just making this up, but basically like Acme Transport.
Yeah, or Blackwater.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. That kind
right,
of thing.
right.
Exactly.
Wow, that's super interesting, man. Thank you for weighing in on this, because that is quite a unique experience.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me on. It's even hard to tell, but it's been a while, but it's crazy. That left an indelible mark on my being.
Of course
It
it
was
would.
dark. It was like Dexter dark.
Not only that, I can't imagine sitting in a seat in the back of a van or anywhere. Let's say it's the most comfortable plush seat for 10 hours, let alone 6 days, and only being getting out. So wait a second. The people who are transporting you, I'm assuming they went from hotel to hotel and they slept in beds at night. I mean, how did that work?
They had it was basically like an over the road trucker who has a bed. So between the driver and us was like essentially a prison cot. And they would take turns. They would shut the door except for a little window, and they would take turns sleeping.
It appears to me that the people who transported you guys have to have no soul, no conscience to question what the hell are we doing with our lives? How have we arrived at a point in our lives where this is our profession? This is crazy to me.
Absolutely soulless. The
All right,
things they
man.
said to us were just unforgivable.
Demoralizing,
Yeah.
dehumanizing. It's just like, yeah, it's just a bunch of garbage. Lazarus,
Yep.
please reach out to me if you ever do this video. Reach out to me. Contact at highimpactflix.com. If you forget that, it's in the description or every one of my videos. Just reach out to me. Tell me we had this conversation, and I'm going to take a look at that video and promote it.
I sure will. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you have a great new year.
You too. Tamara, sorry for the wait. You're next in the queue. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing okay. How are you?
Good. Tell us about your experience.
So my husband had applied for a DOT number for our vehicle, because it's private. It's a private vehicle, and our state doesn't offer tags for private vehicles. So we had got a DOT number for our vehicle. We had it posted on the back, and I'd been pulled over in Kansas a couple times, but I live right on the state line. I live in Missouri, but we're on the state line, and everything that's close to us is in Kansas. So groceries and all that stuff. So I'd been pulled over twice, and I explained to the officer about my DOT and my right to travel. I tried to cooperate with the officers every time they'd pull me over. So they'd give me a ticket. None of my tickets have a case number. So anyway.
Now were they tickets like citations, like you owe this amount of money or you have to appear in court on this date?
It was a mandatory court appearance.
Okay.
This just happened to her. She was attacked by 8 officers. I'm her husband.
Hey, how's it going, man?
Oh, better than some, worse than most. I've been doing a lot of research and stuff at USC, 28 USC 3002 Section 15, that's just a federal corporation. 28 USC 9-307H says that the corporation is located in Washington, D.C.
Right.
You look up Miller or United States versus California Protective Group. It says corporations aren't even allowed to have lawyers and stuff. You can go back into the bankruptcy and all this other. I mean,
yeah, it's all such an overt, unbelievably massive scam that nobody can believe it. Therefore, nobody takes it seriously. And when you quote their own laws, they say you're the conspiracy theorist. I get what you're saying. So the DOT number application went to the state of Kansas, right?
No, we're Missouri residents, but we live on the line. So she drove over to Kansas to pick up pizza.
Okay. And when was this? When are we talking? What's the time frame?
November 2nd, just a month ago.
Okay, go ahead.
She hasn't even made her first appearance yet. So this officer, he doesn't even he has a criminal record. He has aggravated domestic battery, choking in the roof.
What's his name?
Trace Buckle is his name.
Trace Daniel
Buckle. We got his criminal record here pulled up, so you can see that.
Okay. And what website is that you're showing right now?
This is the inmate details on Trace Daniel Buckle.
That's the Crawford.
This is Crawford County, Kansas. This is he's friends with the sheriff. That's how he got his job. He has drug charges and DUIs.
He caught two.
He's not even supposed to be. He's not even hireable by the Kansas policies.
While he was a jailer.
He got 2 DUIs and drug possessions while he was a jailer. He's friends with the sheriff and the chief of police. They won't take our reports. Kansas is in a constitutional hiring crisis right now. They don't even have attorneys. The Supreme Court that's a news article from yesterday. We can't find anybody to represent us, so we're having to learn the legal process. They won't take any of our files that we've put together because a lot of them talk about the International Treaty 881, where they signed all the courts over to the United Nations, which are foreign to us. That goes against the 11th Amendment.
Yeah, and Trace Buckle, that's in Missouri or Kansas? Missouri?
Kansas, Arma, Kansas.
Okay.
It's a small little town. They all protect each other. In fact,
give me the city. Give me the city again. Spell it.
Arma, ARMA.
Okay.
They've had several. They've killed several people here, like beat them in the cells and stuff like that. There was an autistic kid in the hospital here right now. They come up and tried to talk to him, but he's like, "Don't touch me." He has autism. They broke both his wrists, his ribs, and you can't. They won't take a complaint because they all protect each other here. So I've called the Secretary of State. I called the Attorney General. I called the governor, and they say, but how the statutes are due, you have to leave it to the sheriff. Well, the sheriff is the one who hires them and trains them. So there's no place to make a report. I guess that we're just at war. We're at war, and they haven't officially declared it, but they're fucking showing their hand.
Okay, so let's complete this story. So start from the beginning. Tell me, you applied for the DOT number. Okay, so take me from there.
We'll start from the beginning. Okay. So this is a little joke. I'll mark this up. But what got me started on my legal search is I got a seatbelt ticket from a bicycle cop. Anyway, IRM number 2.13.12 or something like that. You're an infant until you get your employee identification number. through the IRM, which when you get your birth certificate, they, a citizen, citai means municipal, and zin is servant. You become a slave, which goes against the 13th Amendment. How far back do you want to go on this story?
Well, no, let's just stay with this particular story. Like, I want to hear
Okay,
what
I go cut to the chase. So I filed to become a state's national instead of a citizen, state citizen. I got my passport, all that stuff. Well, I'm in communication with the Secretary of State. I'm telling him, how do I, and I have emails on how do I register my private vehicle, even though you don't have to for private travel. It's because it's been ruled under Commerce 9.109. So anyway, they send back and they say, well, there is no way to register a private vehicle. So I get a private DOT number, sit in communication with the Secretary of State, put my fee schedule on file. Tamara gets her first ticket. We go to, she doesn't go to court over that yet. We have the neighbor has a house fire. We bring them over. We're helping them out. Our vehicle breaks down. We have to put it in the shop. We live hand to mouth. We're poor. Seems to be the plague of, the bankers.
Yep.
So anyway, she catches a ticket right after the first ticket, right before the car broke down. So like 2 tickets in a row.
Ticket for
ticket for our tag for the registration.
Expired tag and registration. Okay.
Right. Well, our tag doesn't have it. It says private vehicle not for hire. That's what our tag says.
Okay.
So anyway, the officer gave her the second ticket on this third ticket right after we got out of court. So we haven't even got to go to ticket over the first one yet. It's scheduled to come up, right? So she hasn't made her first appearance on her first ticket yet. She's scheduled to go to court, but before she gets the chance, she goes over to pick up pizza in Arma, Kansas, and the cop comes into the parking lot 4 or 5 times to make sure that she was, still there because people are coming in and out and whatnot. We're sitting right across the street. So my wife leaves the gas station, goes right across the street so she can talk to him. Now, as she pulls up, he's like, yeah, no, I was just, she's like, sir, I've come over to talk to you because I wanted to see, explain to you what my tag is about. And another cop comes flying up behind her with his lights on, which is a felony and a non-emergency. If she's already sitting there talking to an officer, then there's definitely not an emergency. You're not pulling anybody over. So there's been 1,000 cases thrown out just because of that alone. He goes back and talks to the other cop. It turns out that's the same officer that gave her the second ticket that she got. He gets out and puts a boot on the car automatically and then starts saying, if you'd like to show me your driver's license, I'll just write you a ticket and we're going to let you go.
Now, when you say boot, you're talking about that big metal thing they put on your tire to keep you from driving away.
Yeah, the big metal thing that they put. Yeah, they buckled it up right automatically, put the boot on it, pulled their nightsticks out like, all excited and stuff. Like, we're just going to write you a ticket. Mm-hmm. How you plan on writing somebody a ticket if you've done booted the car? And what are your nightsticks out for? Yeah. Oh, that's because she's already dealt with the guy who pulled up and put the boot on. Said she wouldn't. She claimed that I'm operating a constitutional, God-given right, and she claimed. Okay, let me stick to the one where we're at right now. So he comes up and he's like, "I just want to write you a ticket," and she says, "Sir, I'd like a chance to explain myself. I'm a God-given, constitutionally protected right." And he goes, "I don't give a fuck about your rights. You're going to give me your fucking driver's license so I can write you a ticket, or you're going to get out of the car and go to fucking jail."
Please tell me she was she recording?
She was on the phone with me. I was telling her what to say. I know it. My dad was in the car and my son was in the car.
And they didn't record?
My son is autistic. He's a disabled child. They went to his window and said, "If you don't open this door, I'm going to smash the window in his face."
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Well, she says, "Sir, if she asked after he said you don't give a fuck about your rights," she says, "Will you please?" So I'll try to clean my language up for the TV.
You're good, man. You're good.
She says, "Sir, will you please call your superior officer?" He says, "I don't have a superior officer. You can guess the word I said there. And then she goes, well, sir, like Miranda versus Arizona, then I'm going to choose to plead my Fifth Amendment, and I'm going to call a state trooper. And he says, well, I don't have a superior officer on the deal or on duty, which we've called 100 times trying to talk to the chief of police, left our phone number, stuff. We can't get a call back from Arbor to make a report.
As they're circling the car.
As they're circling the car with their nightsticks. Yeah, with their nightsticks. She's like, please, I'm going to use the Fifth Amendment, and I'm going to take this time to call a state trooper. And then they took the Slim Jim out of the car. They Slim Jimmed my wife's door open. I heard her scream for 1 second, and then I just no scream after that. It was just ruffling in the grass or in the rocks. I could hear the gravel and stuff moving around, but she was not making a sound. My dad said she was already unconscious. They hit her in the head with a nightstick and were punching her after she was asleep. 8 cops stood around, watched 3 fucking officers beat my 130-pound wife in front of my disabled son.
They fractured.
Is there any? Go ahead. Say again.
They fractured 8 bones in my face. I had to have reconstructive surgery.
And this incident that we're talking about happened just this past November?
Yes, November 2nd. She ain't even made her first appearance over any of the tickets, over any of them that she's got yet. We had to reschedule because of the house fire and stuff.
Your face looks good having reconstructive surgery.
Does.
Holy cow.
She was hot to begin with. Lucky me, right?
Thank you.
So is there any way to get the camera footage from the parking lot that you were in, the store, whatever store you were at?
That all the cops, the 8 officers, they all parked right in front of the car to block off the. They're mafia here, which we didn't kill ourselves.
This was my
just in case.
That's my mugshot.
Oh my gosh!
Show the side of your face. Look at this one.
Oh my gosh! So they just put your face in the gravel and just pressed on it.
They pulled her out. They power drived her straight into the fucking ground, and then hit her in the face with nightsticks and was punching her in the face after she was unconscious.
Gosh.
The only thing that I remember was like I remember exiting the car. I remember him pulling me out of the car, and then I remember him standing me up and facing me towards my son because I remember my son screaming bloody murder, and then he says, don't worry, your mom's okay. And then he put me in his car.
We just fractured your mom's face and we're willing to beat the crap out of her with our billy sticks, but your mom's okay. Yeah.
I didn't even know my face was broke because the
adrenaline. I've never
been knocked out before.
Oh,
so
yeah.
My first experience of being knocked out, it's like just a time lapse. Like you go from the car and then you're standing there looking at your child and they're putting handcuffs on you, throwing you in the back of the car. And I'm sitting in the back of the car. I didn't even know that they had hit me. I didn't know that I had been knocked out. I didn't know anything. And then I'm sitting there and my face is so sore and it's swelling up. And I didn't understand what had just happened.
And did they take you to jail right after that?
Yeah, no, he took me to the hospital.
Okay.
Okay, so we get to the hospital in Girard, Kansas, and he takes me back. I get into the hospital bed, and the doctor starts ordering x-rays based on what the officer's telling him. Like nobody's really listening to me or hearing anything that I have to say. So they took me into the CT scan, and they did the CT scan, and when I come out of the scanner, I can hear him and the lady talking. So I kind of pick myself up and I see the officer looking at my scans. And I explained to her, that's a HIPAA violation. Why are you showing my abuser what he did to me?
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, why are you doing this? That makes me feel very threatened.
Yeah.
And then she's like, well, he's an officer. He can. That's okay. And I said, no, that's not okay. Like, I'm not okay right now. So they took me back to the room, and the nurse kept telling me, she kept coming in with big, huge syringes. She's like, oh, I'm giving you fentanyl. And I'm like I don't know what she's giving me, because nothing's working. It's so bad.
Yeah.
And then nobody even explained to me what the CT showed or anything. Like, it's almost like they were so scared of this officer in the hospital that they didn't want to even come in my room or talk to me.
And this officer is Trace Daniel Buckle, the guy that you were talking about before.
Yep.
Who has
Here's
a criminal?
Look like.
Who has a
That's
criminal
what our
record?
look like.
Yeah. Who has a criminal? This cop has a criminal record. He's trying to get your private medical records, and the medical facility is just relinquishing those records without a warrant.
Yeah.
He's standing right there, making them do what they're supposed to do. Here's how fake this corporation is. There's the District of Columbia Duns and Bradstreet number.
Let's just stay on this topic right here, because I feel like you have a major ironclad case, not just against the law enforcement office, but that specific Trace Daniel Buckle officer under 42-1983, and a lawsuit against the people who relinquish your medical files without your consent.
We can't get nobody to represent us. Kansas is in a constitutional crisis over there. They don't even have any lawyers. That's why the cops are running amok. There's nobody to check them, and there's nobody to defend the people.
So
what happened to your? I want to continue with your story, but what happened to your car, your dad, and your child?
Right.
Well, I'd hung the phone up with my husband, and he had found a ride to Arma to come rescue me. And while they wouldn't tell him where I was at. They'd put me in the car. I heard him outside, but they had released my son and my husband or my father-in-law to him. And then they towed my car. They haven't given it back. They're refusing to even tell me where it's at.
So it's probably impounded somewhere, collecting a heavy daily impound fee. Man, oh my gosh. And were you able to FOIA request any body cam or dash cam footage of this incident?
We filed a 42 USC 1983
complaint. Yeah. We filed a complaint. And they won't let us make any they won't let us what am I trying to say? They won't let us file anything. They won't take any files. They won't take any complaints. They won't nothing. They just gave her a court date, and that's it.
What do you mean they won't let you file anything? They won't even accept.
They won't even talk to me.
They won't talk to her that we've taken stuff for the other two court tickets. They won't take any files. They won't receive anything.
What if somebody else?
We're gonna have to pay a sheriff or something to maybe subpoena them or to serve them. I mean.
Well, do they have FOIA requests in your state? Can you request public files and video?
I believe.
I don't know. We'd have to. I've been drafting an affidavit of truth for get freedom of information. I'm going to send it through a sheriff because we've taken them in to the office and they won't take nothing.
And all of your troubles started because you don't have the proper plates on the back of your vehicle. That's what put the government foot into your door.
Yep, that's it.
I mean, I've got
exercising a constitutionally protected right, a God-given constitutionally protected right.
There's actually Kansas statutes that state if you register Missouri
KSA 8-301 says it.
If you register a private used vehicle
for commerce, it's a felony.
It's a felony. It's a level 9.
So they have statutes saying that we can't, or that we were in the right.
When is your court date?
February 2nd. It's a bond hearing. It's her first appearance.
Hearing.
But if you go in for an appearance, then you're giving them jurisdiction. Walking from the land of the water jurisdiction.
Before I left the hospital, I had heard the officer at the front desk talking to somebody. I'm guessing on the phone because I didn't hear the other voice, but he'd asked if there was a way to make sure the swelling would go down. And then the nurse come in and gave me a steroid shot. And
with a brain hemorrhage.
As soon as she gave me the shot, my nose just started gushing blood. And I'm like, oh man, what's wrong? And she's like, well, you got hemorrhaging on your sinus. It's like, oh, okay. When they OR'd me, I went home and I went straight to another hospital. That hospital wouldn't even do anything for me because I'd explained what happened and that officers were involved. So I went to a different hospital and I explained it in a different light, and they decided to treat me. And I had asked them, I said, okay, so in this situation, would you give somebody a steroid shot? And he said, no. He said, your sinuses are hemorrhaging. He said, if I give you a steroid shot, that could thin your blood and you could bleed out. The officer was so concerned about the swelling in my face that he was persistent on making sure, I'm assuming when they took my picture, that my face didn't look
like it
bad.
did.
This is what my face looked like as soon as I got home.
And how long was that after the initial assault?
That was about
I'd say about 12 to 14 hours after.
Okay, so after they let you
to the hospital, took her to jail, then released her, and she went over to the other hospital.
So how long were you in jail? A couple hours?
A few hours, yeah.
And after they released you from the second hospital visit, were you taken back to jail, or you were allowed to go home?
They OR'd her from the jail.
Yeah, the officer came in. I have a battery on LEO.
Yeah, he said his foot
interference with LEO.
He said her foot hit his camera, knocked her camera. He kicked her so hard it knocked his camera off.
Yeah.
It would have had to been during the power drive that she, would have been the only way that could have happened.
I was unconscious, so I don't know. I can't. My father-in-law is the one that told me that they continued to hit me while he explained to me why my face was broken, basically.
And this happened in the city of Arma, Kansas.
Arma, Kansas,
yep.
Badge number 54 and badge number 55.
They refused to give it, there's supposed to be a three numbers on their badges. They didn't even write all three numbers on the ticket. They just wrote 54 and 55.
They won't give up the names of the officers. We can't find a way to get the names of the officers. We just know 54 and 55. But there was 10 cops.
Is Trace Buckles badge number the 54 or the 55?
54. 55 is the sheriff who gave her the second ticket.
The actual sheriff? Is Trace Buckle a deputy or a police officer?
He's a police officer for the Arma.
So he doesn't work for the sheriff.
He used to be a jailer at the sheriff's. The sheriff and the chief are the chief of police in Mulberry, which is the town that we are joint to, is good friends and got Trace, I believe, the job in Arma, because the chief here also works in Arma, but the sheriff and all of them all hang out together. They all play golf, take golf shots. What are we going to do with this guy Well, if I make this shot, I say we beat his wife, that kind of thing.
I'm just like, the more stories I hear, the more shocked I become, because you guys just represent what's happening to thousands of people every single day. The injustice is off the charts. It's off the Richter scale. Can you guys email me too? Impact, contact at High Impact Flicks. I just forgot my email address because this is so disturbing. Arma is such a small little city. I bet the population is not even 1,000, is it?
No, not even close.
I just can't even. And there were 10 cops who showed up on the scene.
Yeah.
10 cops for somebody who's got the wrong kind of metal on the back of their car, the wrong kind of thin piece of metal on the back of their car. I'm just astounded. All right.
Here's the sad part. They have a statute. They got a statute that says that we were in the right. We didn't break any laws. And then they wouldn't even take time to hear what she had to say.
The law.
They yanked her out of the car and almost killed her.
Arma, Kansas has a population of 1,384, according to 2023. And I really hope you guys can get some body cam and dash cam of this incident, because it really, really sounds like a slam dunk. And I really hope you
in contact.
I hope also that you can get some information about the medical facility that gave away your private medical records to somebody without a warrant. Because I don't know if you remember, but in Colorado, there was that nurse Wubbles who refused to relinquish an unconscious supposed DUI victim's information to that cop, and he basically brutalized her in front of the world, and she got a $500,000 settlement. Do you remember that one?
I don't.
But the bottom line is she would not, because there was no warrant and because there was no consent of the patient, because the patient was unconscious, she was awarded $500,000 because she stood by HIPAA. It sounds like the person that was dealing with you at that medical facility. What was the name of the medical facility?
Girard Medical Facility.
Is that in Arma, Kansas?
No, that's
Girard.
that's the county seat. Girard. It's in Girard.
Kansas.
Okay. All right. I want to hear more about this. Can you please email me and just kind of give me some more details, and maybe we can cover this in a future video? Because you guys
Yes.
need
What
some
was your email again, real fast?
contact@highimpactflix.com. If you forget it, it's in the description under every one of my videos.
Yep. Excellent. Got it. Thank you, bud. You have a great day, man. I hope your day gets so good you can't stand yourself.
Hey, man. Same to you guys. I hope things go better. Please keep us
Thank
posted. Take care. Holy cow. Let's see. Pete needs to reconnect. And Vincent, sorry to make you wait, man. Vincent, you're up. You're live.
Thank you, bud. You have a great day, man. I hope your day gets so good you can't stand yourself.
Vincent, are you there?
How many motherfuckers do you know that put a person in the car?
Hey, you gotta turn your volume down on your computer because I'm getting some major feedback. Holy cow. Vincent, are you there?
Oh, is that me?
Yeah, you gotta turn your volume down on your computer because I'm getting feedback.
All right, let's see. Yeah, working on it. I'm working on it. Okay.
Or put
Better?
your sound, if you could put your sound in your ears so you can hear me.
Okay, well, we get some.
That's typically why just by the way, that's typically why podcasters wear like headphones, because I can hear you, but you can't hear through there's no feedback loop. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay. Damn it.
You may have corrected it because I don't hear myself anymore. So go ahead, Vincent. What's your story?
Okay. Well, my first one was when I first came to Colorado. I was like 15 or 16 years old, and for some reason I had a girlfriend that already had 2 kids, and I was going to the store at about 11 o'clock at night to go get her some milk. Now I just showed up here. I've only been here for like 2 days in Colorado.
And what year is this that this happened?
This happened when I was younger. Yeah, when I was like, I'm an old man now, but I was like 17.
Okay.
17, 16, one of those two. And I'm walking down the street to go get the milk, and a cop pulls me over. And in California, if you're really cool with the cops, they usually don't really fuck with you. So I was trying to be cool. It was a cop, and he had like a youngster with him. And he was all asking me, trying to be all tough and all that. And next, he turns me around, slams my head onto the hood, and it starts handcuffing me. And I'm like, wait, I'm trying to tell him, like, wait, what are you doing? And he starts hitting me in the back of the head. And I'm sitting there like, motherfucker, that did not just happen. And it turned up like, motherfucker. And I start again. I was gonna start talking shit because I just got hit in the back of the head. You know what I mean? For no reason. And I start talking back at the back, and he hits me again. And see, I start getting mad, and I start going back up again, and the cops just starts hitting me. And I'm sitting there like thinking, wow, this is happening. And I'm sitting there looking over, and I'm looking over at the kid that's with him. I guess he's right along or something. And I'm looking at him while the cops hitting me in the head. Maybe I was talking shit to him a little bit, just a little bit. You know what I mean? But I'm looking at the kid, and I'm like, if you're gonna be a cop, don't be one like this one. And that's when I start going off on him and start talking shit to him. And Yeah, resisting. Just, you know.
So then they slapped you with the resisting charge?
Oh hell no! He sit there and took me in the car and then drove me to my home, and then released me.
So you said you had two stories. What was the second one?
Okay, the second one, this wasn't really me. I was at work, and I get a call from my son, and he says that the cops came into the house. I guess my cousin that was staying with us was got in a fight with this woman, and the cops came. Well, when the cops came into my house, they had my 9-year-old son on the floor with the shotgun to his head. He told me, he goes, Dad, they had me on the floor with the shotgun in my head. And I'm
So
like,
you're saying the cops were in your house with a
they came to my
shotgun
house.
pointed at the head of your 9-year-old.
Yeah, while he was on the ground.
And what was the reason for them coming into the house?
I
According to
guess
them?
my cousin that I was staying with him, he was homeless. I gave him a shot. Him and his woman start getting a fight, and the cops came. And I don't know what the hell they told the cops, but they came in all guns blazing, had my kids on the ground with the shotgun to their heads.
That's crazy, man. That's crazy. Well, hey, man, I appreciate you weighing in.
Uh,
All right, brother.
well, I got one more on the lighter note. On the lighter note,
Okay.
I was in Wyoming, and we were working there during the week, and we would come home on the weekends. And then I guess some of the guys started messing around with the locals, and next thing you know, they said the cops gonna, we need to leave. The cops are gonna come raid us. And I'm like, so what? We're brown, you know what I mean? Cops have been fucking with us for our whole lives, you know what I mean? Why change anything? You know what I mean? Whatever. So we went back home. We came back the next day, and we went to work. And we get down. We're taking a shower because we're all dirty. Next, you know, we were boom, 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 boom. It's like, open up, sheriff. And I'm on the floor. I'm all dirty. And next, you know, he kicks the door in. And I'm looking at this big old hillbilly, and he's sitting there with a big old shotgun. He's like, Dad, get down on the floor now. I'm like, I'm looking at him like, man, whatever. He goes, I'm serious. I sit there. I'm like, stop. And I look over, and he's sitting there looking with the shotgun, and he's sitting there shaking. I'm like, dude, I'm like, I'm gonna die. He's just like, all right, calm down. You know, we get down. I get down. They start taking us out. I mean, what? I'm like, what is all this all about? Apparently, someone called us in and said we're bringing all the cocaine in Wyoming in. Yeah, whatever. You know what I mean? So we're out there, and we have INS out there, and he goes up to me, he goes, hey man, where were you born? I looked at him like, what? He goes, where were you born? I'm like, hey Holmes, I was born in East LA. And then my primo, my cousin, turns around, looks at me, goes, Orale. And then it calmed down a little bit after that. But we still went to jail, of course.
Vincent, thanks for your story, man. I appreciate it. All right, take care. All right, Greg. Greg, you're live. Hope you got your audio
All right.
fixed.
Yeah, I'm in the car with CarPlay now. Hopefully you hear me better.
Not really good,
I guess not.
honestly, but go ahead. Go ahead.
Man, I'm sorry. But I'll just go straight phone. How about that?
Yeah, whatever
Maybe
you just did, just increase your volume. Go ahead.
Okay, awesome. So anyway, like I was saying, I have been wrongly arrested and assaulted by cops on 3 different occasions, and also have been harassed by the Secret Service. That's a whole other story. But the first of these situations was Friday, October the 13th of 2006, and I had gone to see a concert at a very small venue, a little band from San Francisco with a scrawny little drummer and a scrawny little lead singer. It's in the lower floor of an old house that had long since been converted into a very dive bar music venue. I had gotten there, and I'd had literally one beer. I'd maybe seen the last song or something from the opening act, and there was still like a house front door on it with glass pane windows in it. And at one point we're standing there and the band's playing, and then you see some light shining through and wonder what it is. Come to find out, I guess it was the headlights of a cop car. Next thing you know, this big burly cop is standing up on the stage on this little tiny, I mean, it's not that high of a raised stage. And at the time, I mean, I would go around with a digital camera even back then all the time and always recording stuff. And so I had this on camera, and I'm holding up my camera like we're all in awe, wondering how in the world, why is this guy up here assaulting, like throws down the lead singer? We're like, what in the world? Later on, we found out it was allegedly a noise complaint. Obviously, that's not how you handle a noise complaint. You would bring the management outside. You would talk to them about it like that. You don't go in and physically attack the band member. But so everybody was in shock. That lead singer, he ran around the back of this bar. The cop goes chasing him. He takes his taser, the cap off of it, so you're not shooting the taser, but you just touch it to people. As he's going around the back of the bar, he brushed up against, I believe it was a 12-year-old girl or something that a parent had brought to the show, and they was chasing him around the bar. He did not like the fact, first of all, when he saw that my camera was up and he's like going after the lead singer, he swings his hand out, knocks the camera out of my hand to the ground. And I pick it up, and thankfully the battery came out, but it was still functioning. So I put it back in, got it rolling again. After he chases the lead singer on the bar, he comes back towards me, and he's coming at me like a freight train, and low ceilings in this place. It's dark. He has me backing up and backing up until he backs me onto a pile of instruments from the previous band, including a 90-year-old upright bass that broke into pieces. And then he just proceeds to, since I hadn't broken any law or done anything wrong, he's now going to go chase somebody else around. So he continues with his running around trying to get people. They ended up pulling a helicopter out to go search for the lead singer, who was now somewhere out in the neighborhood. They ended up getting hold of one of those two band members from the headliner band and had one of the guys from the opening act. I had met a friend of mine there, so I was able to make it outside the front door. There's a small parking lot up front. There were multiple cops out there. I thought, okay, well, I'm not a part of this, but and then I remembered, oh yeah, I had had that one beer and I had put down my credit card for it. So at this point, there was a van, a HPD van, parked in front of the venue. But I told the girls, like, hey, hold on, I'm just going to go and get my credit card. And so I go step around that van to go into the front door, and then there's that same cop that was on the inside, and he's like, you, and he grabs me. And then he hands me off to somebody else, which is what they do a lot of the times. They hand it off to somebody else to do the arrest, I guess, as part to keep their name apart from it. So it's somebody else becomes the arresting officer, even though they weren't there. And thankfully, back in the day, they weren't looking out for this as much. So that female officer let me hand my digital camera to my friend. So she got to take it. So there wasn't any like stealing of the SD card or whatever card it was at the time, or erasing it. And ends up being, because it was an indie band that a lot of people loved, there were a lot of people ended up that following Tuesday going to city council complaining, like a lot of people. And to back up a little bit, I worked for 4 years at the local CBS affiliate here on their website. And the next day there was going to be some political thing. I don't recall exactly, maybe some mayoral kind of debate kind of something. And I was in charge of setting up a live stream. And at that point, I'd had a laptop computer that I had not had for too terribly long, but I was supposed to, at least at home, get this thing started going. And with me being in jail, I got out like just in time to do this. This is something they had been promoting on air for weeks. And had I not gotten out and been able to do it, nobody else would have. And that would have been really bad. I definitely would have been fired. And again, I did nothing. So when he was coming at me like a freight train, I did put my arm up because he was coming at me and hit his arm. And as I'm moving back, I'm like, and I cursed. I was like, don't effing hit me or something. And he didn't like that. But I was not in the wrong for anything. And next thing you know, I'm locked up overnight. And of course, what they do all the time, which happened the 2 other times, is they'll give you a PI. I was not drunk. I had 1 beer, but there's no real recourse for that because they're like, you'll see the judge the next morning. So how are you going to prove one way or the other, right? So that way that they're going to get you either way. And so the second time that I was wrongfully arrested, I was literally directly across the street from that venue. Oh, and also with that event at that venue, it affected live music in Houston for a while because it was on I remember taking screenshots at rollingstone.com, websites all over the world that were into music. Everybody was covering this story, like what in the world, cop attacks band member. So it was a big thing, and a lot of bands refused to come to Houston for a while because of that situation. And, I was big into live music then and big into the indie bands, so it affected a lot of us as opposed to just me directly from my experience and the experience of the others, including that 12-year-old that was tased. And then the next event was directly across the street from that about 4 years later at a bar, and I met some friends over there. And they had a big outside porch, and the end of the night came, and I had just recently bought a beer. And the way it is at a lot of venues, at least here in Texas, is if you've already bought your beer, even though 2 o'clock's the shut off, sometimes they'll let you finish it or at least have a little bit more. So I was in the back, and there were 2 HPD officers back there that I'm guessing off duty, but uniformed, I don't know. And they were like, yeah, fine, I'll give you 5 seconds or something. So I'm not like whatever. So I'd go to take another sip. The next thing you know, the guy throws me with his hand over my throat, throws me up against the wall as if I had just like killed somebody. And I'm sitting there thinking, what in the hell? And because of what had happened across the street 4 years earlier, I'm like, I'm not going to put up with this, because that first situation, I had to get an attorney, and the poor 2 guys from San Francisco had to come to town and spend all this extra money that they didn't have on this case that kept going on and on. And I had the video, and it wasn't until the 6th time that I went to court that there was a new DA put on the case, and he finally watched my video. We were sitting back in his office. He puts my video in. Immediately he says, case dismissed. And that's all it would have taken to see my video the first time to see that I was in the right. I had
Do you still have that? Do you still have that
sorry.
video, Greg?
I do, and there's some old like blogspot posts where I posted all the frames of video and frames from other people's photos and videos that show like my proximity to him. It's been so long since I've gone to that. I know that blogspot page is still out there, but I don't recall exact. I think maybe like live live music at blogspot.com, but I could be wrong. But I think that might be it. Somebody wants to try to pull that up.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you think about it, because I'm going to move, I got 5 more people in the queue. I really want to get to them, but can you can you email me and maybe drop me a link?
Yeah, for sure. And I'll just say real quickly. So across the street, so they ended up arresting me there when I did nothing wrong. I waited up front, wanted to do it properly. I said, hey guys, you go ahead, go on home. I want to talk to the management. Went up to the door. The bouncer said, can you wait till we clear the place out? I'm like, yeah, sure, let's wait. I'll wait, because I didn't want to deal with that again. I wanted to, get these cops like, something against them. And so I'm standing outside of the front of the venue waiting for the bouncer to say it's okay to come in and talk to management. Cops come in from the inside. They pull me in, put their knee in my back, throw me against the pool table, then down on the ground again, as if I had done something. My Iron Man watch had come off when they were first grabbing me outside. So I played it off as like, I'm just looking for my watch, trying to settle them down. But next thing you know, they arrest me. And then, a whole nother story where I literally did nothing, but 3 times assaulted and arrested by cops and I'm not just, making stuff up. I did absolutely nothing. I wasn't drunk, any of that kind of stuff. And then much longer, and I know you got to go, so I won't get into it, but story with Secret Service after I cursed out George Bush Sr. And then there was some crazy stuff going on to try to intimidate me in an empty apartment above me, and further stuff, visits to my apartment. But yeah, I'm no fan. So I'm one of those that says there's no such thing as a good cop, because also as an activist, I've seen so many of them stand by as their buddies take away the rights of others. But thanks for having me on, Brian. I appreciate it.
Greg, thank you, man. Appreciate that. Let me just say before I bring Bad Cop on. Noble Savage, yeah, let's sit around and talk and not do Shiite. Come on board and tell us. I mean, it's so easy to just make a post and then, do the hit and run thing. Just come on, Noble Savage, and let us know what you're doing. We all have talents and we all have resources at our disposal that's different maybe than somebody else. There's a skill set certain people have, in speaking and making content or creating, video stuff that gets the point across and imparts knowledge. So none of us is greater than all of us, and all of us don't have the exact same job doing the exact same thing. Are there certain things we can learn from people and apply to our lives? Of course. But it's easy to sit there and criticize somebody when you don't even know really what you guys don't even know what I do when I'm not in front of the computer. I don't really know what you do. And then for somebody to say, no, I don't even know this person, but I think this person is doing it the way it should be done. Like you can't even say that. So that on its face is disingenuous. But yeah, Noble Savage, come on aboard and tell us how to do it. No one person is doing everything perfectly. We all are on a journey. We all modify our processes. We try to make it more efficient, more effective, more understandable to the masses. So, and if anybody disagrees with that, hey, this is an open chat. Let's see, the link is in the description right now. We got Bad Cop coming up to tell us his story. What's up, Bad Cop? How you doing?
Hey, how you doing, Brian? Hey, I'm glad to finally get to talk to you. I just recently spent 60 days in the Marion County Jail for what I call freedom of speech, but apparently it's disorderly conduct, with noise. You can't tell a police officer no. You can't tell a police officer here in Indiana to not give up your personal information to someone that you don't know without being charged with disorderly. You can't go into public buildings.
Real quick, is this Marion County? What state?
I'm in Indiana. Marion County is Indianapolis.
Okay.
It's the Marion County Jail. I live in Henry County though, which is Newcastle.
Why were you in jail for 60 days? What's the deal?
I was recording. I was out one night recording. I don't know if you. I started following you quite a few years back. But when I first started following you, for example, my channel used to be called The Farm Life because everything I would do was on the farm. So I was constantly recording that type of stuff, hillbilly type shit. Me flipping cars over, whatever, just stupid shit. I had a house fire. A guy who tried to burn the house down with me inside of it because I booted him out after stealing from me. Police showed up, didn't do shit about it, said that our lab didn't work that way. It took me 3-4 days to walk around town with a sign talking about, in the sign, I literally wrote on the sign and said, police said it's not their job, sweep it up. I walked around town for like 4 days with a sign that said that. Next thing you know, I was surrounded in town with every agency you can think of. And that's no joke. Those videos are all on my YouTube still.
What's in your YouTube channel? It's called Bad Cop.
Yes,
All
Bad
right.
Cop.
All right, keep talking. I'm going to pull it up.
Hit the @ symbol, Bad Cop 67.
Okay.
But just recently, well, not recently, August 21st of last year, the 24, actually 23. I was recording. I was out riding around on my pedal bike. I was trying to, you see, I got some chunk here. I was out trying to lose some weight. So I decided to pull out the old pedal bike. I've got an old 20-inch pedal bike still from when we were kids. So that's my channel.
Is this the video Newcastle, Indiana confronted one? Is this the one?
No, if you go down, I can barely see that right there. But if you go down, see the cop right there with his hand in front of his chest?
Right here, yeah.
That's a part of it. The full video was 6 hours and something long, which just shows everything I was doing that whole night. The one that says, hang on, let me pull it up on my other channel here.
And just give us the breakdown while you're looking for it, just so we don't have any dead air.
I turned around and I was recording that night.
Well, first of all, tell us what your sign said again.
It said, police said it's not their job to sweep it up.
Okay.
If you look, it's if you type in, it's harder for me to describe because like I said, I'm still new to trying to get these edited properly and doing everything. Forgive me here for the ums. I'm not used to having my face directly on and talking.
Yeah, you're good, man. You're good.
There's a video. Let me see. Let me pull it. Anyway, the night this guy tried to burn my house down with me inside of it, the police showed up and all they were worried about was me and the guy fighting. They didn't care about the gunpowder that was spread all over my house and porch. Yeah, if that video there is an hour long, that's the full video.
Okay.
And
this is after you were carrying the sign around town.
Oh yeah. This right here this was last year.
Okay.
This video here, yeah, the one of me walking around the town with the sign, that was like 6-7 years ago.
First of all, let me stop
longer.
to say I appreciate the fact that you have what you're talking about on video. That is key. That is huge. Never, ever, if you're watching this video, I don't care if you're watching it during the live or while it, gets done rendering and becomes a regular video. If you ever get into an interaction with cops, I don't care if you think they're a good cop or a bad cop, always record your experience because it can go south on you very, very quickly. Go ahead, bad cop.
Exactly. Yeah, I was going to say, I don't leave the house, period, without, if I left right now where I'm at, before I hit the end of the block, I'm live, whether it's public live or private live. I'm live always. I record everything I do this way because, like the one gentleman that was talking about earlier about his past, I've got assault on police officers from years ago, and immediately when it pulls my name up, or we could be riding down the road together in a car. Next thing you know, the cop will be looking at you like, oh, it all smiles and laughs and giggles, whatever. And then next thing, how the hell did I get to my home channel?
So you're carrying around this sign, and do the cops stop you while you have this sign and question you, or what happens there?
They surrounded me
while you have the sign.
Why I had the sign? Yeah, I was down on road 3, which is the main drag here
on public property,
on the public land. Yeah.
Right.
I was
protesting your government with this sign.
Right. And while I was out, I noticed this charger that went by me like 3 or 4 different times. And I didn't pay too much attention to it. I just figured they were just trying to, slow down and get an idea of what my sign said. Because on one side of the sign, it said, police said it's not their job to sweep it up. And then the other side, I still have the sign somewhere. But anyway, it was talking about how basically police just ain't doing their job. Next thing you know, I have a local sheriff pulled up, and the next thing you know, there was a state highway patrolman's, there was, FBI, we had Homeland Security, the DARE vehicle, SWAT, the whole 9 yard, literally surrounding me. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. They said the sign said that I was holding a sign talking about killing cops, and asked me if I knew what the sign said. I was like, well, yeah, I know exactly what the sign says. I'm the one that wrote it. I know exactly what it says. And I said, whoever said that to you guys, I said, it's trying to get me killed, obviously.
They came to your house after the sign incident.
No, they came to me where I was on the street with the sign.
Then why were they asking you what your sign said if you had the sign in your hand?
Stupidity. The cops here in this town, they're literally
wait. They literally, these federal agents literally approached you and said, we heard that your sign said this, when you're actually holding the sign in your hand.
Yeah. They told someone, they said they had a call that came in that said I was holding a sign talking about killing police officers.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And the sign clearly never said that.
Okay. Go ahead.
I mean, I still have the sign to this day.
And did you record this incident of you holding the sign and being encountered by those cops?
Everything. Everything. Like I said,
that's on your site too?
Yes.
That's the 6-hour video that you referred to? Yeah.
I don't remember if that one's public or not. I think it shows you I've got maybe like 100 and something videos, but in actuality, if I made everything live, there's probably about 4,000 or 5,000 videos on there.
Yeah, it says 111 videos. I got to see that one where the federal agents came up and questioned you.
Well,
if it's not public, you should make it public.
Go back up real quick to your left. Now, go back down a little bit. See where the guy is, the old man. See the one with me in the nunchucks. Go underneath that one. Go one more. No, one more. Now, see that man right there?
This guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is a guy in Ohio. I was trying to get my phone from another police officer who had illegally arrested me for doing, showing people what my hometown, where I was from. I was trying to retrieve my property. And this guy here told me I'm not getting shit, threatened me with arrest to go back into jail for trying to explain to him what was going on there.
And he's the chief?
He's the deputy chief.
All right. And this is a separate incident?
Yeah, there's all kinds of videos on there that shows, and I'll be honest with you. I mean, I'm not the politest person when it comes to talking to anybody with so-called, a shiny badge. I have a serious dislike for law enforcement.
Yeah, and rightly so.
I get them; they'll be looking at me going, "Well, you should be polite." It's not my job to be polite to you. I don't have to be polite to you. I mean, I tell them all the time, if you don't like your job, go flip burgers, or I'll hear officer safety, you chose the job. You chose the profession. I do construction and farming and, my job's, if you Google the top 100 most dangerous jobs in the United States, police officers like number 30 on the list.
Yeah. Yeah. Pizza
They're a
delivery. By the way, pizza delivery is more dangerous, and being an Uber and Lyft driver is more dangerous than being a cop.
Exactly.
And that could be per capita because there's more Uber and Lyft drivers and pizza delivery drivers and all that kind of stuff. But the bottom line is it's not on the top 25. So, put that
exactly
right now. But so go ahead. Let's go back to the sign thing, because I want to stay on one thing at a time. You're out there with the sign. The feds actually come out and question you about the sign that they said you want to, off cops. And now what happens?
Yeah, we had like I said, the local police. Everybody was there. The one I forgot his name. Markham, I think, is his name. He's no longer a police officer, which I actually wish he was. I know he does something with the city. I've been trying to find out what, so I can go and film his ass. These guys, like I said, this guy Chris tried to burn my house down with me inside of it because I booted him out for stealing my computer and my tools and a bunch of other stuff when I was gone for a funeral. I come home and my house, like I said, it had previously had caught fire, and that was due to my fault, which I said that video is online there also. I'm trying to get to my own channel here. I'm having
by
trouble.
By the way, guys, while Bad Cop is pulling that up, here's Bad Cop 67's link in the chat. He's got 548 subscribers right now. Looks like he's got some videos that I'm interested in looking at. Top video from 8 years ago, 28,000 views, 2.9 thousand views.
I can tell you guys now, I have a potty mouth, so if just be warned.
Just get ready to edit if you want that thing monetized. That's the bottom line.
All right,
so
that's another thing. I get people asking me all the time. They go, "Well, aren't you making money from these? Aren't you monetized?" I don't give a shit about the money. I can give excuse the term here, two flying fucks. I got no field of fucks growing out here. I don't care if one person ends up seeing these videos later on. That one person could be the right person to get these in the right direction.
Yeah.
Because
so let's close this out. How many federal agencies showed up when you were holding the sign?
There was the FBI, there were the detectives, there was the DARE vehicles, city cops, sheriffs, state highway patrol.
And is there only one episode of you having been out there with signs, or have you been out there with a sign for days and days on end?
Oh, I've got videos of there's probably about 15 videos with me out there with the signs. When the police showed up on the job, the one it's got Fullman and Pratt. I'm trying to see if I can. I'm trying to understand.
I'm trying to understand how the federal agencies got a tip and a lead so quickly, and they were able to arrive so efficiently and quickly to the scene to engage you when they don't even arrive that quickly during a mass.
Well, I was out on the street probably about 4 or 5 hours out recording that day, but it started getting later at night, and I figured, you know what, I'm going to stand over by the main part of the road. There's a Speedway gas station. There used to be it was a Starbucks that was on the corner. Anyway, I was directly across the street from that. You know how they got the benches on the sides of the road? Yeah. And I decided to take a rest from, walking around, because I was just walking back and forth all up and down, the main road. I figured anybody see the sign, I figured I just walk around until I get too bored and not do it anymore. So I decided to go ahead and sit down for a few minutes. And just as I sat down, I seen that charger that it went past me. Well, when the charger went past me, I didn't think too much of it at first. I just figured, okay, you know, somebody's trying to get a good look at the sign. Next thing you know, they get all up in, I'm being surrounded, literally. The one that shows the sheriff deputy there. Now that video that you're looking at right now is the next day after I got my disorderly conduct ticket. This video here, there was a man who was in his home, I guess, supposedly had a gun or something, which is, you know, Second Amendment, you know. Anyway, these cops here now, where you're seeing me back here in the back, this is after I had already walked around the back, and they had threatened me with multiple times with arrest for filming there, you know.
Yeah.
Shining their lights in my cameras like they always do. The video, yeah, it's called of the whole incident of the night I got my disorderly conduct. It's called Contempt of Cop, aka disorderly conduct. It says feelings enforcement.
Okay.
That night, the night I got my disorderly conduct, I was recording. According to the scanner, it said that there was a fire. Well, after having my own fire and seeing how the fire department liked to lollygag around, I decided I was going to walk up and go film it. While I was on the pedal bike, well, I had somebody asked me, they said, well, we're going to go up and go look at the fire. And I was like, you know, I'm going to ride up there, but I'm not going to race. You know, I mean, obviously I'm on a pedal bike, a 20-inch pedal bike. I still got to climb a hill yet. You know, I'm 57 years old. I ain't out there trying to kill myself. But I decided to go ahead and roll up that way. And I figured whatever we see, we see. Once we get there, this woman, she stated in court that the paramedic pointed me out, told her what I was doing, and then that I was that police officer right there. That's Evans. He's a real prick. He thinks that if you say the word "fuck," for example, that's an arrestable offense.
Yeah.
In any situation, he immediately told this woman who I was when I told him, you know, to inform her I have rights, obviously, and not to give her my personal information. And then he turns around and gives her my personal information anyway. And then you'll hear in the video, which I left it. I mean, my personal information comes across the video 5-6 different times across their scanners. I'm talking full information. I'm talking address, the whole 9 yards, which is, I think, is a violation. They shouldn't be allowed to do that way at all.
Yeah, it's like doxing. Yeah, you could become a target very, very easily with that.
Oh, so and it's already happened. I've had people try to, and those are videos I have that are live also. I've had people try to run me off the road where I'll be on my bike out here doing this. I've had one of the city council members told me that, or not council, excuse me, the commissioners. And matter of fact, he just won, Steve Dillinger. He straight up told me, right to my video. And I didn't realize he said it at first until after I just got out of jail here recently. And I just, I started going back through some of these videos and I started paying attention to this video. Well, I was going to remove his wife's face from the video like I told him I would. But then I started paying attention to the video and I heard him state right off the bat, he don't care who it is, that if his film or if anybody's film got his wife on it, he would shoot the motherfuckers. She didn't sign up for this. And I'm sitting there thinking, hold it. She married you. You're now a public official. Yeah, she signed up for it.
Let me encapsulate this because I got a lot of people that I really want to get to, but I do want to finish your story. So you just spent 60 days in jail in Marion County, Indiana.
For the video you're looking at right now.
For this video.
Yes. Yeah, which okay. they never even showed this video in court. My attorney wouldn't show this video in court, which I'm kind of glad he did because there's already an appeal, but I still spent the 60 days. He gave me 120, do 60. I was supposed to do my time here in Henry County, which is the county I live in. The day I went to jail from court on October 2nd, last year that just passed, I went to court on October 2nd. It was like 9-something in the morning. If you look up My Case Indiana, you'll see the cases that are right there. It's called My Case.
And the charge, tell me the charge again. What's the charge?
It's disorderly conduct with noise. Yeah.
60 days in jail for disorderly conduct with noise.
Yeah. The judge said that before the police officer showed up, the woman was talking and she kept running her mouth and she kept coming up to me. Because you'll see I kept even moving further and further back away. She called 911 and stated that I was recording her children And I was recording people that was in her house, which I wasn't. I was recording the public officials, which no matter what I was recording, it's perfectly legal from the street. We know. Anyway,
so even
when they
according to
showed
the
up,
code, even according to the code, if you look up disorderly conduct with noise in the state of Indiana, does that really carry a 60-day prison sentence?
well, I found out when I was in the Marion County when they put me there that I was the only one in Marion County with a B misdemeanor, literally for contempt of cop, disorderly conduct. The only one in the whole jail. They threw me in with listen. They put no joke. They just threw me in with murderers and rapists and put me in a 23-hour lockdown. No joke. For free speech.
Yeah.
While I was there, I found out all the Africans and Nigerians that are working there in the jail are racist as fuck. They don't give a shit about you. I was denied medical. I'm literally I'm still not supposed to wear shoes now, for a while until my feet heal because of how nasty the showers in the jails are.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's messed up nasty. The cops here, they don't care about you. I've had the cops here tell me straight off the bat, they don't care about their law. They have to follow policies. They're not policy enforcers. They're law enforcement.
Let me just say, let me just try to keep that. I'm a simple man. As a matter of fact, that's my favorite song is Simple Man by Leonard Skinner. But here's the simplicity of this. An American spent not 6 days, not 6 hours, not 6 days, but 60 days in jail for exercising freedom of speech in the land of the free, home of the brave. And he was placed there by people who claim to be protecting and serving the guy that they just threw in jail for 60 days. Yeah. This is how egregious this is.
Now you know why all my flags are all upside down.
Because it's distressing. We are in a distressing situation. This is situation critical. And if you don't think it can happen to you, if you've never spent a night in a prison cell, and I'm talking about one night, I'm not talking about 60 days, you have no idea. There's no coal burning under your saddle, so to speak, to do anything about this. We got to do something about this because the walls are closing in. I'm not trying to be an alarmist. I'm just a realist. The walls are closing in because if a guy on a public sidewalk in America can be thrown into jail for, quote, disorderly conduct with noise for exercising freedom of speech, we got some serious problems in the Injustice Institute.
The comment that basically got me in jail was, you'll hear it on the video when you watch.
This one here, this video?
Yeah.
Okay.
I made the comment that every state has a leaky cunt, and apparently we found ours. Excuse me there, people, especially the women. I probably could have worded it a little different. She just kept antagonizing me a little bit, and I let my child come out, or as my ex-wife would say, my twin. Anyway, that comment there. Now, like I said, I know calling someone a cunt is 100% legal. Excuse the term here again, but talking about someone's pussy or cunt, whatever, or someone's junk, period. Anyway, I know that is obviously a disorderly. 100%. I agree. That would be, but calling you a cunt and talking about your cunt, two different things.
Maybe chill out on the live stream. I don't want to get shut down. That's one of those words with the FAGGGOT thing. The YouTube doesn't like that stuff. So
yeah, I don't care about those people, but
well, I don't want the live. I think this is a valuable live stream. I don't want it to get shut down. So I think people need to see this stuff.
Right. That's why I apologize for but those are the words that were literally said though. But the judge, his name is McCord. He actually said in court, and I have the transcript from it. He stated in court that you, me, or anybody else who posts stuff to Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, wherever you choose to post stuff, if you're not mainstream media, you're not considered the news.
Yeah.
Literally stated this in court that he couldn't allow that when my attorney was trying to explain to him that I was out there as free press recording what was going on with our government. And he's like, I don't know if I can allow that. Straight up said it. It just shocked me.
All right. Well, I just dropped the link to
literally why I spent 60 days. And I've got an appeal that's coming up yet. The attorney to this day is still not giving me my discovery. I've not got the discovery from the beginning. I seen a couple of the videos before we went to court one day. And one day before court, even I had one of the guys, I know he's a deputy. I don't know if he's an actual full blown deputy, 5-star, or if he's got the 6-point, you know, how they have at the jails. Ones ain't quite deputies yet, but he was bringing prisoners to the court, and this was the month before October, and I had a court appointment. Was like not I think it was 8 o'clock in the morning, 8 or 9. Anyway, I showed up about 7 o'clock in the morning because I wanted to record all the cockroaches showing up to work. So I show up, I'm standing underneath the camera at the courthouse. Next thing you know, this deputy decides to walk through me instead of walking around me on a 13-foot wide sidewalk. You know, so here I'm a defendant in the case and, you know, a witness at the same time. And then, yeah, that's me standing in front of the house after the cop told me if I stood there that I would go to jail. So you can see
Hey man, I got to move on because I'm keeping a whole lot of people waiting, and
you're fine.
Man, I appreciate it. Thanks for weighing in. Hopefully we'll be talking to you soon.
How can I get you my number?
Contact at highimpactflix.com. If you forget that, it's in under the description of every one of my videos.
Okay. All right. All right. I look forward to talking to you soon. I'm going to put you my link to my Facebook on there also.
Okay, man. Appreciate it.
And then, thank you. And then for having me on here, and definitely everybody have a great, happy new year. And Brian, thanks again. And hopefully get to talk to you here soon.
Thanks, man. Take care. All right, Brent, you're up, man.
Hey, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
All right. Hey, so my story is there's some that I can't talk about, but I did post the videos in the chat. So this happened in Central Texas, and was in a convenience store, and police officer entered the store and saw that I was not wearing a mask. What happened was
now, what year was this? What year?
About 2020.
Okay, yeah, that sounds about right. Huh?
Yeah, September 2020. Walked out of the store after I basically pissed him off because I said, "Well, your mask isn't working," and he pulled it down. I called him out on it, and he called for backup. He's going to have to detain one. Anyway, I ended up walking outside only to come face to face with his taser pointing straight at me. 6 cops respond. He orders them to take me down, cuff me, and but luckily I had my own body camera on.
Nice.
And
do you have while you're talking, do you have a channel?
I do. It's at LSB Productions or Brent. Yeah. LSB Productions.
LSB Productions. Okay, keep on with your story.
So, of course, 6 cops respond. A sergeant and a commander and
LSB. Sorry, LSB Film Productions.
No, just LSB Productions.
It's not coming up.
Try Brent McCain. BRENTMCCAIN. Oh, but it's not going to be on that. I'm sorry, it's not going to be on that channel because I had to take it down. It's on.
Go ahead.
It's on CJ Grisham's channel.
Okay, go ahead.
So anyway, of course they cuffed me and searched me, and I was open carrying as well. He do a search for Waco. And yeah, so put me in the back of a car.
Oh, got it. Okay,
yep.
Go ahead.
Put me in the back of a car, the cruiser, and then he gets in and talks to me, and he basically backpedals after they find that I have everything recorded.
Is that you on the screen?
That is me.
I remember this. I covered this. Go ahead.
Oh. So yeah, and there's another one that that's on there too, that basically from my camera. But anyway, this fellow, this officer was basically forced to retire.
So you won your case here.
I did.
And what was their charge? Why were they arresting you? What was their official charge?
He really didn't get one other than the fact that I just pissed him off. It was a mass violation. Well,
Yeah.
yeah.
Dang, I am so glad you recorded this and you had your body camera rolling. Did you know? I mean, do you just have your body camera rolling all the time or what?
I did all the time. At that point in time, I wore it everywhere because of I wasn't wearing a mask.
Good
Wasn't
for
going
you.
to.
And this is you up on the screen, right?
That is me.
God, I remember this, man. Oh my gosh. I might push this to the okay. So tell us the conclusion of the case. Did they take you to jail after this?
No, he released me.
Okay.
Like I said, he started backpedaling.
Yeah.
When he saw the camera and looked at it and said, "Is it recording?" Yeah, it's recording. It's on. It even looks like he tried to turn it off, but he was unsuccessful. And of course, he lied, and I got a lot of information through public information requests and such. But I did end up suing, and I won. But I wish I could disclose more, but I can't.
Yeah. I got you, man. First of all, thank you for on behalf of the millions of Americans who aren't even aware of this kind of thing right here, for number one, recording and holding public servants accountable, and number two, basically standing for yourself. Because when we aren't recording, whether we do it out of neglect or intentionally don't record or whatever, we're basically saying we trust whatever the government does and whatever the government says, and we're in safe hands with them. That's not the case with you. We need a healthy distrust of government and government agencies who claim to be protecting and serving us when we know the opposite is being done by them.
Yes, I absolutely do. And on my channel, there is another one, a small town of Crawford, Texas. Their police chief over there. Basically, I went to ask them about, in Texas, we've got these signs up, right? 30-6, 30-7, meaning open carry, concealed carry. And if businesses don't want you to open or conceal, they have to post these signs.
Right.
Police departments or city halls, basically a governmental entity, or aren't allowed to post those signs. Of course, unless it's obviously a place that's prohibited through the penal code, courthouses and offices of the courts and such. A couple legislative sessions ago, they passed a law where you can carry into city council meetings. Well, I just happened to be driving through the small town of Crawford, Texas, and saw the sign up at the police department and knew that they couldn't be posting that. It's been there for years. So I went in there and spoke with the city secretary, and she called the chief in. Of course, the chief is a retired Waco PD detective, and he's probably in his 70s and needs to retire to the old age home. But anyway, he basically just blew me off, and so I submitted a public information request. I also tried to find members of the city council, and he got the city attorney to draw up basically was going to file charges against me for harassment, for trying to hold the city government accountable. Luckily, that didn't go anywhere, but there's a couple of videos in there regarding that as well. So,
well, man, I appreciate it. I got to move along, but I'm going to relook at this video from CJ Grisham and you. I did find your channel. I will put the link in the chat if anybody wants to follow you. You've got 4,000 subscribers right now. That's a good chunk. So maybe we can bring some traffic your way and we can all work together and try to carve out a little bit more freedom in this land of tyranny.
All right. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on there. And thanks for all you do, Brian.
All right, brother. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Timothy, you're next, man. Sorry to keep you waiting.
Subscribers right now. That's a good.
Good job. So maybe we could bring Timothy, you're up. All work together to try to carve out a little bit more freedom. You got to turn your sound down, though, Timothy.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you. Quiet. Get out here.
Timothy, you're live. Timothy, you're live, and
Okay. How you doing, guy?
good. You might want to turn your sound down on your computer because I'm getting some feedback.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Timothy,
can you hear me now?
We can hear you.
It's showing mic's on.
Yeah, no, we can hear you. I don't think you have your sound in your ear.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Hello, damn kids. Shut up over there. No, I'm just kidding.
I got handcuffed and beat up by a cop.
Yeah, no, we can hear you. I don't think you have your sound. You got to turn my sound down, though. Or do you have earphones? I gotta go on to the next one. It's getting confusing, Tim. Can you call back? It sounds bad. It sounds really bad. All right, Cameron, sorry to make you wait, man. What's going on, man?
What's up, bro?
I feel like before you even start talking, we should have a dedicated stream with just you and me because we're already 2 hours and 20 minutes into this, and I don't know how many people are going to watch it. But go ahead,
we'll
man.
Get there. It's okay. This one is going to be strictly to what you stated, anyways, which is your bad experiences with cops. We'll leave it there on that. Is that fine with you?
Yeah, go for it, man.
Okay, let's do it. All right.
By the way, this is Cameron from Power Inherent the People. While he's talking, we're going to pull up his YouTube because he's got a lot of good information that you need to know. Not should know, you need to know it. Go ahead, Cameron.
Got to know it. Okay, bad situation with cop. I'm going to name one. All right, so in my younger days, when I was a little bit more rowdy, I was a little bit more rambunctious, a lot more, should I say, than I am now. I got kids, so everything's great. But when my rambunctious days, I had a crazy situation happen. Now, we're going all the way back to 2011, okay? What ended up happening is I got into a car accident. I got into a car accident. I lost my leg. I died. They brought me back to life. I'm an amputee. I go through about 9
Okay, wait. What year is this, Cameron? What year?
We're going back to 2011.
Okay, go.
Okay. Now, if you remember this year correctly, you need to remember that this whole year was about in the Fed. Okay. Yep. That's what this year was. It was all about in the Fed. And that's what was big at this time. So take yourself to 2011. Okay. Anyways, I get in a wreck May 24th. I lose my leg. I come out of that mad depression. I'm good to go. And I move forward in my life. Okay. I get a leg. I got friends over at the house. We're playing Madden. And they're like, man, get NBA 2K. I had just moved into this house. Friends are coming over. I go up to the GameStop and I go and get NBA 2K. Now, at this GameStop, it's in a shopping center, okay? It's in a shopping center. They ain't got no handicap spots. I'm walking really bad at this point, okay? I'm like, it's slow, okay? I'm a hop along, I'm like a month and a half in on this leg. And I'm in the store and I'm in line and I'm about to get this game. And someone opens the door and he goes, I'm parked right in front of the store. Okay. Yes, it's got the red lines, but we're in a shopping center and there's no handicap spots. So I'm getting out right there. And someone comes in, they got blue jean pants on. They're probably about 6'2", 6'3". And he's got a New Orleans Saints jersey on and he's got a badge around his neck. I'm thinking it's like mall security. Okay. He's an older guy. He's maybe in his 50s. Maybe I say 53, 54, 55, something like that. Anyways, I'm sitting around. He comes in and he goes, whose Cadillac's this out here? I said, that's mine. He goes, oh, come on out here. I said, don't tow it, man. Don't tow it. I'm thinking in my mind right off the bat, don't tow it. What's going on? Well, when I get out there, I see a Crown Victoria car, like the old cop cars. And he's got a little dash light he's got a light in the dash. I'm like, oh, mall security, And so I walk out there and I said, what's up, man? Why are you bothering me now that I'm noticing this car? And he starts walking around my car. And he's all like, well, first off, you're parked in a fire lane. And then the second off here, what's going on is that your tent is too dark for the legal standards here in Texas. I said, man, what you talking about, bro? Just let me get in my car and go about my business, man. Like, what you doing, bro? Like, can I get in my car and go, or like just park? There's no handicap spots, right? And he starts trying to argue with me, and he's doing all this and that. He's got a gun on his hip. I see it. It's a revolver. And I was like, man, I'm not trying to hear none of this no more. I cussed him out, right? I was young. Like I said, I didn't play this well. Anyways, and I had just got a sound system in my car. I just got this tent. Like I had just gotten all this because of this wreck. And I get in my car and I turn up the music really loud and I roll down a little bit on him and I'm looking at him and I'm like, like ignoring him, kind of agging him on. Okay, it's my own fault. I'm agging him on. And he knocks on my window and he goes, he said something. I forget what he actually said. For real, I forget it. He said something. I was like, man, I said something. I cussed him out. Well, that dude comes to the front of the car, bro. Immediately pulls out, like he's in front of my car now, and immediately pulls out this revolver, okay? And he pulls the hammer back on the gun, bro. When he pulls the hammer back, this little red laser comes onto my chest. Well, I was already in drive with my foot on the brake, okay? So when he does that, I flinch, and I'm like, well, my foot comes off the brake. And the car moves forward. And when he falls on the car, I freak out again. Now my right leg is for the gas, okay? And that foot hit the gas, bro. And I'm like, like this. And the car starts taking off. And I'm not knowing what to do because I'm freaking out because my leg is stuck on the gas pedal now. This dude's on front of the car, and the car's going. I'm like up to 50 miles, 40 miles an hour. And I'm in the Cadillac, and he's on the front of it like this. And this dude rolls off. Oh my God, I didn't know what to do. I freaked out. I was so freaked out, bro. I drove all the way home. I got home. My heart was going. I was freaked out. I get home and I got like 10 people in the house, bro. And I'm like, y'all need to get out of here now. Everybody needs to leave now.
Wait a second. The cop let you drive off after hitting him like that?
Bro, he rolled off of the car.
No, I know.
Doing like 45 miles an hour.
Oh my God.
Yes, bro. He wasn't. Okay. Hold on. So then I get to my house. I tell everybody to leave, right? So I leave my dog in the house and I go out into the alley, okay? And I'm like walking. I don't know what to do. I'm calling my pops. My pop's law enforcement his whole life. I'm calling my pops and he's like, you're going to jail. He said right then, and he said, oh, get ready, Cameron. You're going to jail. And I said, oh my God, what am I supposed to do? And I'm freaking out. I'm going crazy. He's like, you just need to turn yourself up. I'm not turning myself. I'm not. No. And so I'm waiting. I'm in my alley and I'm down the street and I'm hiding actually in some bushes. And I'm looking down the street and there's like 20 cop cars in front of my house. And I'm freaked out. And when all the cop cars leave, I wait another hour and I go back to my home. Well, they went into my house because my dog's in my backyard. They opened up the door. And I freak out. So like that same week, I go and find another house for rent and I move. I literally moved like 2 weeks. And we end up going to court and I get a really good attorney and we end up fighting it. And I got that bad boy dropped all the way to, I think it was like disorderly conduct, but he broke like ribs, wrists. He broke like a whole bunch of stuff, bro. It was the most craziest experience.
It seems like this story, did it make the news?
I don't know. I wasn't paying attention to the news.
Any journalist worth his salt would write up this story because it's so freaking interesting the way you told it.
It was crazy, bro. Like I could pull up. I still have all the documents from the situation and how they ended up dropping it from it. What I was facing was 20 years. That was their first offer because what they gave me was an aggravated assault against a public servant in a motor vehicle.
Wow.
And he was actually an off-duty cop. That was working that for security. So I guess, just him being so already in that mode of I always have a badge, being security and being out in the country and then coming into town, it was just, I guess I got everything though, as far as all those documents. It was the most wildest experience because the first thing they did is offered me 20 years. And I literally got time served for 24 hours in jail on a disorderly conduct.
You got 20 years served for just a couple hours? Go ahead.
Well, they offered me 20. This is the thing.
Right.
They left it as a felony. And my lawyer did so well that he was like, yo, y'all cannot charge him a felony when this guy did. He's literally an amputee. The situation is what it is. And then they finally said, okay, well, we can't just drop it all the way. Something's going to happen. We're getting a conviction. And so they dropped it down to like a misdemeanor, disorderly conduct or assault. And on my thing, it says 24 hours time served. I got 1 day. Yeah.
Having not recorded any of this, was anybody wearing body cameras back in 2011? Probably not, right?
Well, I mean, they had some footage from the GameStop, but it was only him falling onto the car and then me speeding off.
Right.
That's it.
That sounds so incriminating, though, the way you put that. It is nothing short of a miracle that you didn't have any shred of evidence to defend yourself. That shows that you had a really, really good attorney.
Yeah, he was really good. He was really good. And
so just in case you don't know, audience, this is Power Inherent in the People. One of my most popular right to travel videos does feature Cameron, who actually got a cop. Was it in Seattle? Where was this?
No, Hood River, Oregon.
Oh, that's right. In Hood River, Oregon, actually got a cop to say, if what you're saying is right, I will not renew my license. That's a cop saying that. So I want to do a separate right to travel thing with you, but when you
Look,
represent right now, you go pro se. You don't hire an attorney, correct?
No, sir. And if you look right in the private chat here on StreamYard real quick, I just sent you the link for my actual civil. This is going to be my first civil suit that I've ever done myself. I've won several times in statutory administrative courts, of course, but this is my actual first civil federal complaint that I'm doing all on my own. And I just gave you the link for that. And that's against that Hood River cops. Because if you remember, Brian, you remember what he said. He said when I pulled out my document after they let me go and they ran my name, he goes, "No, I get it. You're not driving. You're traveling. You're not doing commerce." So what that does is it straight gives evidence that they know the difference, Brian.
Right.
But they choose not to because we don't know. But we'll talk about that later. But yeah, I just filed that bad boy last month, man. I got my first federal suit. I'm doing all on my own, Brian.
So let me ask you something, because I want to speak to demeanor. I want to talk to the way you handle a cop, what you should say, what you shouldn't say, how you should keep your your anger in check when you're confronted by a badge terrorist. But from what you've heard, and I saw that you were kind of in the back room for a long time, from what you heard about the application of the DOT in Kansas and Missouri from Trace Daniel Buckle, this officer who's got some kind of criminal history, all the way down to what you just heard from Bad Cop about the disorderly conduct with noise. Do you think that those cases like that can be won fairly easly under pro se?
Well, it depends on the individual and how much time you take for yourself to learn, right? Because there's nobody that's going to be able to defend your case better than yourself.
Right.
Never. Okay. Nobody's ever going to put as much time into your case, nor do they know the situation and feelings. Now, you covered Judge Carlton Reeves when it first came out, the decision in relation to qualified immunity. Remember Desmond Green and Jacqueline Thomas?
Yeah.
Okay. That's huge. That's 62 pages. We just read that on my channel last week. That's 62 pages showing how the courts, even on the district side now, are like not for qualified immunity. It's out the door. It's hanging by a thread. It is gone. It's on its way out. And with that being said, yeah, I say we are at, you had Chevron deference being repealed early this year. Qualified immunity is definitely on its way out, especially with the opinions that we're getting from the judges right now. We're in the best time that we have ever been in to be able to bring forth a suit and actually win, Brian.
Why do you think that is? Why
Chevron
do you think
deference is gone?
Okay.
So
explain that to people who don't know what Chevron deference is.
For sure. So if we just give like an overview, right? The statutory aspect of them being able to determine their own language, their own laws, not correlating it with the federal with the Constitution and federal case law itself, they was able to just utilize it within their state. Now they can't do it no more. They got to go back to the federal. The Constitution has to be the foundation principle now. That's why it's so big to bring up jurisdiction and all of your constitutional violations early on in your cases, right? And never waive your rights. And when it comes down to the traffic stuff, it's like there's a script, and most of us are always waiving our rights when we get involved with some kind of traffic stop. You just got to remember, you ain't got to waive them rights. You can stand on them. And if they violate you, you got big boy suits. That's what people got to realize. Don't give in. If you waive your rights, you waive your rights. And you can't do nothing about that. You waive them. So
what's one of the first things that you should do when you're on a traffic stop in order to not waive your rights?
You want to do this now? Okay, we'll do it now. We'll do a little bit now.
Yeah.
All right. So I don't know if you've ever heard of Eddie Craig.
It sounds familiar, but go ahead.
He used to be a cop. used to be a trooper down in Texas, right? And then he ended up getting on InfoWars channel and doing a couple reviews.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've seen
Okay,
that.
good.
Yeah.
Okay,
I've seen
good.
him.
You know Eddie Craig then. All right. He's got the best script you can do. And I will never, ever, ever. I know you've seen my videos and you know what I do, but I will never, ever give my ID up again. Never will do it on Traffic Stop. I will never do it. I got a script and it comes directly from Eddie Craig. All praise be to Eddie Craig for this one because we utilize it. And every question in every regard puts them in the aspect where all responsibility and liability is upon them. Okay. We put it all on them. If you want to violate my constitutional unalienable rights today, you can do so at your own demise. Okay. If you want to. But yeah, we're putting it all on them now. We know our rights and we're not waiving them at all.
Now, is it important to say I invoke my Fifth Amendment right, or do you just be silent from the get-go?
Well, again, it's a line of questioning, right? It's a line of questioning to get them to admit certain aspects of what they know. It's kind of like, those guys. Oh, I'll put it to you like this. I don't really care for politics, but I'm just talking about, the higher ups and how they talk sometimes. So you got Kennedy, the one that's still alive now on the commissions. And stuff,
RFK
right?
Jr. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And he recently, I don't know how long ago this was. I put it on my channel. It's just him right there making a quick statement. And he's talking to someone higher up in the Department of Justice or some kind of policing aspect. And he asks them, he goes, hey man, can a cop just come up and start asking you for your ID if you're walking on the street, right? And he goes, and this executive goes, police executive top somewhere does. He goes, well, no, they can come up to you and ask for your consent, right? They can come up and ask for your consent, but you don't have to give it up, okay? Unless there's RAS, probable cause. He ran through that whole thing, just like you know and everybody else knows, okay? And then RFK went further and he said, all right, well, good. Oh, that's good. But let's take it a step further now. So let's say you have some stop. There's a stop for DUI or, let's just say it's a stop for insurance check, mandatory insurance check. He said, what's the difference there, right? He's trying to figure out what's the difference between being on the roads walking and then being in your vehicle and getting stopped and checked, right? And the guy just kept stuttering. I've never worked a case like that, but I've never prosecuted a case like that before. Just stuttering. So, it's just the aspect of you have unalienable rights, and unless there's probable cause of a crime actually being committed, they can't just stop you and ask for your ID and demand it because they first have to prove that you were operating in a commercial capacity. And it gets deep on that aspect. I know, I understand, we've all been tricked, but I guarantee you, if you go look within your municipal code, whatever city you live in, or your county code, go look up the definition of county road. I bet you that bad boy is going to say something very similar to open as a matter of right for public vehicular travel.
Interesting.
Guaranteed.
Okay, Cameron, we've got to have a dedicated, like within the next couple days, we should have a dedicated video live stream. Maybe we can do it. I don't know, but live stream, whatever. But we got to dissect this. We got to see if we can do a play-by-play, get that script with Eddie Craig. I've got the Eddie Craig script right here on the screen, which I've read this before and it's very interesting and it's a good read. So let's do that. Let's carve out some time in the near future, maybe this week. And I've got your number, you got mine. Let's call each other and let's hammer this out.
Okay, here I got the PDF direct PDF for everybody. I don't know if that one that you're showing on the screen is any good, but if you want to share, I know I can't do the links, but I can share it in private chat. Boom. That one's a direct link on archive.org for the Eddie Craig script in the private chat of StreamYard.
Let's see. Wow, that's a big link.
Yep.
Okay.
Boom.
Yeah. All right. Cool. I'll drop that in the chat, guys. And we're going to get to our last caller. Cameron, thank you for weighing in. I really appreciate the work that you do. I'm very curious to and very interested to learn what you know.
Most definitely. We'll talk later, brother.
All right, brother. Take care. Kat, you're the last one. Kat, welcome. How you doing?
I was going to go to my profile for a link, but
is this your why you're looking for it? Is that your channel
right
there? Is this your channel? Can you hear me?
Yes, House Cat and Mouse. It's actually,
I
yeah,
think
it's on my channel.
okay.
Yeah,
I think you're
yeah.
breaking up.
I
I
gotta
don't
go
know if
back.
you.
There we go. I'm on a phone, so it's an older phone. You're probably best just to kind of look through the videos I've uploaded to find it. It's
Okay.
my most recent video.
All
Usually
right.
just do farming videos.
All right. Tell us about your interaction.
My husband had an issue where he was at the courthouse. I was there with my son, and I needed to find out when he was going to go into the courthouse so I could leave with my son, go for ice cream. And all of a sudden, everything's kind of hectic. It seems like things were going, but I asked everybody around if anybody knew what was going on. They all said they didn't, so I started looking for some officials to go ask. And I finally sat down for a minute, then watched an officer walk through the lobby, and I approached him and I asked him, why was the judge late? I didn't hear him really properly at the time. That the judge wasn't late, but I had just asked again, why was the judge being late? If we're late, we get our asses handed to us. He didn't like the word ass, which when I kind of get irritated, I do use a little profanity here and there.
Oh yeah, an ass is a real bad one.
You're right. Everybody's like, I'm pretty sure the courthouse has heard much worse than that. And all of a sudden, he started asking me for my name. I said, don't worry about it, because I didn't want to get my husband in trouble. This guy's already mad that I'm already talking to him. So I told him it didn't matter. And he starts yelling, he knows who I am. And at that time, I didn't really catch on to what he meant by that until afterwards, realizing who he was. We had an ordeal a month before where my kid was yelling in the hallways. So this is why I was planning on taking him for ice cream this time. He was in the hallways yelling. This officer had come up to me and was face to face with me and telling me that I should keep my child quiet. I'm like, are you going to arrest a 4-year-old? And he backed off after that. And he's like, no, and what's your problem? I'm like, nothing. You going to arrest a 4-year-old, or are we having further conversations? And then he had walked away and tried to find other officers to team up against me, but I had overheard their conversations, and they're like, there's nothing you can arrest her for. There's nothing you can do. Going back to the present day I was arrested, when I denied my name, he started yelling at me, and my husband came come up behind me and started yelling at the officer, don't yell at my wife like that. And all of a sudden, as my husband's walking up, I approached my husband, told him, keep it calm. The officer had come up to my husband, grabbed his shirt, and was telling him how it was going to be, that he was going to go sit back down. So that's when I had brought my camera up, because I wasn't trying to put the camera up in the officer's face. I was just kind of just being, okay, I don't really trust them, so I'm just going to kind of have a recording going. But when I had brought it up, he took his hand down away from my husband and come around my husband and told me that I was under arrest. And that's when the video stops right at that point. So a minute after I ask why the judge is late, I'm already arrested and going to jail.
Are we looking at the right video here as you're talking?
Yeah.
On the screen? Is that it? Okay.
Yeah.
Here, let's just take a look at some of this. Let me turn is there any sound to it?
Yeah, there should be.
Oh, here we go.
So is there a reason why the judge is late? Because I mean, if we're late, we get our asses handed. The judge is late. No, why isn't everything opened up yet? It's after 9 o'clock when everything.
That's, I don't know if anybody could tell, but that's where she just said, if we're late, we get our asses handed to us.
Okay, so it's even more late. Because
Are you on the docket today?
Yes.
What's your name?
Don't worry about it. We're all standing around here when there's a.
Let me explain something to you. Me and you done had trouble once. Hey, you be quiet.
Hold on, let me deal with this one. You got me.
Now, what does he mean by that? You and I have had trouble once.
That was when he had come up to me about my kid being loud a month prior.
Okay. So he remembered you from a month prior.
Yeah.
Interesting.
You go over and sit down. You don't get along with my wife. You go sit down.
This is how they act.
Yeah,
this is how they act. Yeah, we have to bend and kiss their fucking feet, but they're gonna.
And at that point, when the camera cuts off, is that when you got arrested, or is there more to this video?
Nope, that's exactly when I got arrested.
Wow, that's just a classic case of contempt of cop. He just did not like you challenging him verbally. That's what it amounts to.
Yep, and neither did the judge. Right now I am pending jury trial to advance it to a bench trial or a well, it's only a bench trial because I can't even get what sort I'm looking for, a jury trial. I can't even get that because the fine is under $50 for the disorderly conduct charge, and that's the only charge I have.
Disorderly conduct. Disorderly
yeah.
conduct. Okay, so and this was in a public building. What was this building here?
The courthouse.
The courthouse. And what's the cop's name?
Timothy Scott.
And he works for what department?
Giles County Sheriff's Department.
Giles?
Yeah. It's in Pulaski, Tennessee.
Pulaski?
Yeah.
I've been to Pulaski.
Yeah, it's a beautiful town.
Yeah, Tennessee's a beautiful, beautiful state. And now, did you go to jail after this?
Yes.
How long were you in jail?
A couple hours, but as I was in booking, they were training this woman, and the woman behind training the new person was, hey, put her in the system as guilty and time served. I was like, no, you will not put me in the system as guilty and time served, because they were going to keep me in there for 2 weeks before they would actually have my first court case. But I bailed out for $500.
Oh my God.
Just to get out for this charge. And it's like $500 for saying some words.
For saying words.
Mm-hmm.
My gosh, man. Oh my gosh. This just gets all over me. This kind of things, this kind of injustice really starts making me sweat. So
I actually ended up with nerve damage in my hand because he put the cuffs on so tight.
Really?
I'm actually going to the doctor in a couple days to see if I actually am eligible for the surgery to get the correction fixed.
Oh my gosh. And what was the date of this interaction?
Right before Halloween, October 24th.
And when is your court date?
Well, at this point, I have to sit in limbo and wait for the grand jury to decide if the case can go forward.
Holy cow.
It can sit there for a long period of time because all of their excuses, well, it's not that much of an important case. It's a disorderly conduct. We had other court cases we needed to get ahead. So they're going to try to push it off until the deadline for a lawsuit against them, which would be October 24th. They're going to try to push it so then I can't file any charges against them.
Right. Okay, well, thanks for bringing this to us. What I will do is, if you guys want to watch this video again, this is on her channel. The name of the channel is, say it again.
House of Cat and Mouse.
House of Cat and Mouse, and it's more like it's kind of like a homesteading channel, right?
Right. They denied me an attorney, so I'm only representing myself.
Okay.
The judge had said that since I'm a property owner and I don't owe anything on it, that he has denied me an attorney.
And you were
all they
actually,
had-
go ahead.
I've actually talked to the attorneys, and they already had told me that I'm pretty much screwed, that the judge is already going to, if it even goes to bench trial, the judge is going to say that I was guilty because they don't want a lawsuit.
Well,
But they'll
okay.
help me after the case is done.
And also, you were in the courthouse, not even for you. You were there for some charges that were brought up against your husband, correct?
Yes.
And what were those charges against your husband?
He was supposed to be in child support court.
Okay. So this is completely unrelated. Your charges came down upon you for something completely unrelated, as you were there to support your husband. And the reason the cop put hands on you and arrested you and you went to jail is because of words.
Yep.
In Pulaski, Tennessee.
Yep. I bring
Okay,
this
well,
cop's name up to anybody and they already tell me, oh, you got him. Oh. And then they go silent. So I already know there's a lot of hush hush in this town and
yeah.
a lot of tyranny going on, and
Oh,
I'm
man.
up against a brick wall.
It's worse than we can possibly imagine. And the more I hear these stories, the more I'm convinced that it's epidemic. Hey, Kat, I really appreciate you joining. Thanks for giving us your story.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, bye. All right, guys, I'm gonna have to end it here. I did not expect to go almost 3 hours. I really appreciate you guys, hitting the like button and sharing this video, and I appreciate you guys being willing to stick around this long. This is a crazy long video for me, a live stream, but I was looking at the comment section, and people were saying that you'd like to do this maybe once a week so we can just kind of get this stuff out in the air. I do want to circle back to Cameron Wilson and Power Inherent and the people so that we can talk about some vital things we need to talk about. If you're going to represent yourself pro se, what you should do during a traffic stop, certain scripts that work, certain attitudes that might work over other attitudes. Yeah, you got the right to say what you want to say, but you got to keep in mind there are power tripping authoritarians looking for a reason to hammer you, literally hammer you into the ground, or pull out their taser, or less lethal, or pepper spray you, or torture you into oblivion. So we don't want to give them an extra reason, but you do you and see how it works out for you. But we do have people out there. If power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely, and it's more like power draws the corruptible, then we probably should walk a tight wire of how we act towards certain people, especially if you've got, people in badges, uniforms, and guns and utility belts, especially if you got a family that depends on you, because the last thing your family needs is for you to be in a jail cell, not providing for them. And you don't want a record, because, records ruin people's lives. It makes employers look at you like you're some kind of criminal when you're actually not. What I really wanted to cover today, and maybe we'll do it in a separate video because I want to do it justice and I don't want to put it at the end of a 3-hour live stream, is talk about Hendry and the predicament that he's in. And I also want to talk about the latest interaction with Siberian Tiger. So I appreciate you guys being here. Remember, if you haven't done so already, hit the like button right now. Valentino Rossi just dropped a $10 super chat. Thank you very much. Happy New Year, all freedom lovers. Thanks a lot, Valentino. And thanks to everybody else who supported the channel. Dapper Dano, Joseph Doe gifted 5 Here's the Deal memberships. Vincent Morales gifted 10 Here's the Deal memberships. And Valentino with $10 super chat. So I appreciate you guys. Thanks for being here. I will see you in the next live stream. Take care.